The Star, Weta Ouster, Luya MPs protest to Ruto.
And I'll tell you why they need to protest even more. The People Daily, Ruto's unfit untouchables. Ni nani hawa?
Daily Nation, Mitumba Nation.
Matters Business poster to lay off 600 as mail delivery plunges.
And the Standard cartels hellhole.
So yes, you can see there's no agreement on any of the big stories. Kila mtu ameenda na yake leo. Inamaanisha kuna story kubwa sana. Jana ilikuwa headline moja, reshuffle. Leo kila mtu ako na mambo yake. All right. So we'll come back and take a look at these headlines later on with my panelists. Today being a Friday, we'll have this young, youthful men. Kuna Njima Castro, political analyst, Hans Rop, Josephat Kamanya, and Kabala Kile, who is a national deputy chairperson, People's Liberation Party. So do stand by for that, coming your way at around 6:30. Later on the show,
we'll be talking to Irina Matthews, Director, International Student Affairs Africa, and Anna Platonova, that is International Student Affairs Africa and Global Career Pathways, basically studying abroad.
Coming your way at around 8 a.m. Remember, it is a Feel Good Friday, so we'll be having a lot of music and a lot of more fun right here.
Absolutely.
On TV47. Tuvuke border, twende Tanzania, we take a look at the Citizen. GAG report highlights improvements, but now the Controller and Auditor General's 2023-2024 report has revealed improvements in the utilization of public funds. Ushasikia kitu kama hii hapa Kenya?
Haiwezi.
Nancy Gathungu akikuja na ile Auditor General's report inakuanga tu wameiba, wameiba tena, wameiba huku. Lakini vile asema, it also highlighted major losses incurred by key state-owned corporations. So they're handing over their reports for 2023-2024 to President Samia Suluhu Hassan there. That's a big story on the front page of the Citizen. The other story is addressing competition between local and foreign traders.
Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania bado, shughuli bado nzito, ripoti za CAG TAKUKURU, habari kama hiyo ya The Citizen anasema licha ya kuimarika kwa baadhi ya maeneo ikiwemo vita dhidi ya rushwa, CAG abaini hasara kubwa kwenye mashirika, kutolipwa stahiki za watumishi wa umma, hati chafu za pungua. At least this is something
very positive report coming from the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget in Tanzania. And I'm just hoping one day we'll have such as a Kenyan day.
But you know, watumishi wa umma, they're not being paid. According to their control of...
Maana kuna wanahitaji bribery.
Yes.
Still prevalent.
Vigogo 6 wakutwa na hatia, baraza la maadili lasema wako hapo. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 6. Na sekta binafsi yalia wageni kubeba fursa. Kule juu masuala ya siasa, Chadema isiposhiriki uchaguzi itajipoteza. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 4 nasema Moshi, katibu wa itikadi, uenezi na mafanikio ama mafunzo wa Chama cha Mapinduzi Amos Makaila amesema chama hicho isiposhiriki uchaguzi itajipoteza.
Wale wamesema no reform no election.
Yes.
So kama kutakuwa na reform by Oktoba kweli watashiriki. Ni habari ile kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Bado tunasalia kule Tanzania, inaitwa Mwana Halisi. Mbowe amvuruga Lissu. Masuala ya siasa za chama cha Chadema. Wanangangana kule ndani, tutajua kutaendaje. Msajili amlima barua makala, masuala ya siasa pia pale. Tuvuke boda. Kuna mmoja hapa nimeona. Wanasema Chadema wamejifunza nini kutoka kwa Raila? Pale chini kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwana Halisi. Raila anawafunza siasa.
Baba yao.
Siasa ya upinzani. Chadema wamejifunza nini kutoka kwa Raila? Wafanye handshake.
Mkate nusu nini.
Let's cross over into Uganda. Start off with the Daily Monitor. Umeme exit stalemate. Still discussions around the buyout of their power distributor Umeme. And here they say an audit shows Umeme is to receive 430 billion, less by 423 billion shillings, the company claims. Even as it emerged, the power firm reserves the right to determine whether any dispute of over $7 million can go to international arbitration. Still a push and pull over the buyout of their state power distributor. Pale juu, they make mention of this crisis in South Sudan. Regional leaders sent envoy to Juba after Machar arrest. Even President William Ruto sent an envoy to South Sudan following the arrest of the Vice President, Riek Machar. That's the Daily Monitor.
New vision still in Uganda. Details of umeme buyout revealed and special audit report slashes takeover figure. The story is on page 3 and related stories on page 32 and 33. Street iftar in Kampala. We see a photo here.
Yote ni chakula.
Chakula tu, ni free food. Waislamu wanakuanga watu wa maana sana.
By the way, this weekend, you know, is just
food.
A lot of iftar
Yes.
parties and celebration as we get close to the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Yes.
Veteran VOA journalist Shaka Sali dead. And South Sudan Vice President Machar arrested. That's the new vision.
All right. Leo ule jamaa wa PNG amekuja, so leo tumepelekwa hadi Ghana. Lakini kabla tufike Ghana, ini red paper ile ya Uganda. This is a very controversial paper in Uganda. Today they talk about General mpaka wanamuita M7 hapa, Museveni exit plan leaks.
The Standard of Uganda.
Not even Standard. This one, I think, what can I compare it with? Probably the Citizen Weekly. Right-hand man spills shocking transition details. But this one can actually get very interesting. It can even get like Nairobi, the Nairobian. Yeah, that's a red paper. Let's move on from that. Ghana. Daily Post wanasema fuel stations to operate 24 hours. They don't. Hey. Parliament. Another kwa front page. Anyway, basi.
Oh my goodness. Hawa ni kina nani hawa?
Ghana.
Parliament approves scrapping of e-levy, emission levy and betting tax.
That's a new one because, you know, in Kenya, we had controversy. The finance bill had some e-levy there. And I figure that they actually reintroduced it through some other method, while in Ghana, they're actually scrapping it off. So
Daily Post.
Daily Post. Staying in Ghana, the business analysts. Still the main story. Parliament passes bill to abolish e-levy. So in Ghana today, that's a big story. The capital city is what? Accra. Accra watu wanaongea tu e-levy wametoa. Positive news coming from the budget process there. Daily Guide still in Ghana.
Bado hiyo e-levy, gold, betting, lotto, taxes gone. Hiyo ndo story yao hapo.
Yes, so yes, big story in Ghana, e-levy gone. Huko ni Botswana, The Voice. Yes, it speaks for itself. The gloves are off. Hii ni ngumu. Ni maswala ya watu wa bloggers huko na wanangangana. Twashalangeng. Chwanelang reveals explosive abuse claims against Putego. Yeah, South Africa tutashika sana, but I just wanted to show you the kind of headlines down south. So those are the stories regionally, and I'll be back to take a look at these local dailies in depth in a while. Let's come back home and take a look at the weather situation. And even from afar from this, you can see the kind of cloud systems we have, mostly above Lake Victoria. This is the most intense above Lake Victoria. Areas around Mwanza, which are there on the lake shore, probably most affected, and we'll be looking at the weather in Mwanza and heading down central Tanzania. It also gets into eastern Uganda, above very close to Kampala. In Kenya, the western part of Kenya does not have a lot of cloud cover. The cloud cover is actually on the eastern side. Areas around Meru, Kitui, Machakos, and even Garissa. So this is where we have a lot of cloud cover. And we start off with Garissa. Let's take a look at Garissa 29 namna gani.
26 degrees in Garissa, feels like 28, light thunderstorms and rain hata sasa hivi. Wanasema highs of 31 degrees. Precipitation in Garissa is 11.2 millimeters. So
definitely it will be raining despite the high temperatures there. That 32, by tomorrow it will be 33 degrees. By Monday next week, 34. As the week continues next week, it promises to be a very dry week in Garissa. But at least enjoy the rain while it lasts. I told you about what's happening in Mwanza, which is on the shores of Lake Victoria. And yes, 22 degrees Celsius as we speak. A lot of rainfall expected there. 23.4 millimeters of rain in Mwanza, which probably should concern even other Kenyan towns that are close to Lake Victoria. Areas like Homa Bay, and even as you move closer to Kisumu. Highs of 24 degrees today. Nothing much there. Let's come back home and take a look at Meru, which is also affected by that cloud cover on the eastern side of the country.
It's 17 degrees in Meru, feels like it. Light rain as we speak. Highs of 21 degrees. Precipitation in Meru is 15.7 millimeters.
Which is quite high.
Yes.
Yes. All right. From Meru, we take a look at Mombasa. Tuone kama Mombasa wanajisikia namna gani wale watu wa Mombao.
Wow.
26 degrees Celsius as we speak. It's also raining in Mombasa this morning.
Yeah.
The temperatures will go as high as 29 degrees despite the thunderstorms. Quite some rainfall there. 8.1 millimeters of rain in Mombasa, meaning leo. It's not exactly holiday weather, but ukiwa Mombasa bado unaweza vaa vest. Finally, let's come back home to Nairobi. Nasikia watu wa Kiambu kumenyesha wameshindwa hata matatu hazifanyi kazi.
It's 17 degrees in Nairobi. Feels like it. Warming expected over the next 5 days. Right now, it's raining, light rain. Highs of 21 degrees. And precipitation here in the city is 16.3 millimeters.
Actually, it's very high, 16. I think
yeah.
it's only Garissa that's gotten to 23
Yes.
millimeters. So 16 is actually probably higher than what we see in Mwanza. But they say we're going back to warmer weather going forward, starting next week. So that's the weather situation, and we'll be continuing to look at that and monitoring courtesy of some of these websites like zoom.earth. So the western side, hata Garissa na Habeswein, kuna mvua mingi sana. Let's take a look at the traffic situation. Naambiwa watu wa Kiambu ni kama wale wa Osielo. Right, and it's Friday traffic na ni kama hakuna kitu tunaona, lakini wamekuja baadaye. So yes, tuangalie barabara zile uleta shida sana. Pale Garden City kuna shida tayari as we speak. You can see this long stretch of red at Garden City Mall. I don't know what usually happens here, because I would expect this to be happening around Allsops area because of the many matatus that are there. But you can see the long stretch of red between Kasarani and Garden City Mall. Whatever is happening there, we're not so sure. That means that a lot of traffic from Thika Road has not reached the Pangani interchange as it is right now, and it's still early, about 11 minutes past 6. Pangani interchange is new air right now, all the way far back as the Ndigwa, Northern Bypass, on Kiambu Road, nothing much to report there as far as traffic is concerned. Muranga Road is looking good, and Wangari Maathai Road as well. In town, ile kawaida pale Haile Selassie Avenue, it's building up slowly as you get to that railway bus station from Marikiti sides, but nothing else there, not much action. To the eastern side of this town, Jogoo Road looking good, just a slight traffic around Makadara area. After that, it's smooth all the way into town. Ile barabara uleta shida hapa inakuanga hii ya Kangundo Road, but hata hiyo ni kama watu wajaamka. Leo ni Friday. Na walisema Thursday is a new Friday.
Yes.
So jana watu wali Friday, alafu Friday yenyewe inakuja leo.
Yes.
Mtaamka tu lazima kazi iendwe. You can see actually even on Outer Ring Road, areas around Feather and Pipeline, not much to report there. Pale tu around Tumaini Estate hapo ndio imeshikana kidogo as you go towards Donholm. The Eastern Bypass is looking good. Na hapa kuna kuanga na shida, but tunaona leo ni green. Mombasa Road green all the way into town. Nothing to report there. Past Next Gen.
Business are always working from home anyway.
Yes. Upande mwingine hata hakunanga haja kuangalia. Wanakuanga tu sawa. Watu wa kufanya kazi from home. So that's the traffic situation. Probably at 1:30 the hour, if time allows, we'll be back to take a look at this situation, if at all it will have changed.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day.
The power to shape your future lies within you. External forces may influence you, but it's your inner strength, resilience, and determination that will propel you to greater success.
right, welcome back. Let's now focus on the local dailies, and we had gone through this list. So twende moja kwa moja na tunaanza na People Daily.
Rooters unfit untouchables. Double speak. Now, despite their colleagues having been sent into oblivion after being found incompetent as cabinet secretaries, this battalion, this one here, was handed new trappings of power as ambassadors, parastatal chiefs and advisors. Who are they? Ababu Namwamba, former sports CS. Susan Nakumicha, former health CS. Aisha Jumwa, amepelekwa pale NTSA. Eliud Owalo, presidential advisor. Edward Kisiangani.
Ungeruka huyo kwanza, lakini ni sawa.
We will come back. Andrew Karanja and Moses Kuria.
Yes.
Anasema Ruto's unfit untouchables. Sawa waguswi. Jana we talked about Ruto's blue-eyed boy. Awa sasa washiko.
Well, alisema ati he has not really previously proven that he's able in all the ministries he has served in. So how watu walifutwa CSs or PSs, but they were given some soft landing somewhere. So if at all they could not work properly as CSs, why are they still in government? Yes. Unfit untouchables.
Expulse official's wife fight for top IEBC positions.
So the man and his wife being interviewed. Remember, the interviews for commissioners of the IEBC continues even today. Yes.
We aliulizwa what happens if you and your wife win that seat. Nasema of course najua tutawezi win hata kama angekuwa my spouse, but itakuwa double blessings. Kindiki prepares ground for dicey president's visit to Mount Kenya. Atarejea kwenda huko next week.
Right.
Yes. People Daily here.
Pale juu anaongea about the day Pope Francis almost died and he left hospital. Watu wengi walikuwa write off, washaanza kusema when are we going to start the election of the next Pope? Bado, ngoja. On the Daily Nation, Mitumba Nation, that's the biggest headline there. Kenya is now the biggest importer of second-hand clothes in Africa, overtaking even Nigeria, despite their population. Nigeria's population, I think, is about 200 million plus. We're only about 55 million. Yet we're the biggest importers of second-hand clothes in Africa. Overtaking even Nigeria, that has a population 4.5 times bigger, giving the country a dubious distinction of being an easy dumping ground for used apparel while struggling to revive its collapsed textile industry. Nasikia hata serikali wana recycle mitumba. In cabinet CSs. Pale wanasema this report surge in imports comes as other countries move to prohibit the inflow of used clothes. And in Kenya we've always argued hapana, hata kama kuna textile industry wa Kenya wana shida kiasi. Pale wameka we import about 38.5 tons. Yes. Wengine Ghana 30, South Africa, Uganda, Nigeria, Angola, Morocco, all these people come after us. Sisi ndio tunavaa nguo za mitumba kweli kweli kwenye Afrika.
At least kwa smart wala tit.
Lakini tunashine hapa, wanasemanga aje luku tunapiga.
Luku tunapiga. Luku ni safi, luku ni moto.
Luku tunapiga. Kahariri and Haji warning on Ruto must go campaign. Yes, Chief of Defense Forces yesterday alisema kazi ya jeshi ni kuprotect constitution. So hata hii kitu mnasema must go. Kama ni must go, it has to be within the constitution. So mnasema must go namna gani?
Ati mnachagua alafu mnakuja hapa kusema must go.
Na ninyi mlichagua, but I agree with him.
Yes.
Kenyans are very funny. Muliemba togo kerate. Alafu sasa mbona kasirika must go surely. Kahariri ashaongea. With US aid cuts, ARVs will only be available to the highest bidder, so only those people who can afford to buy the treatment for themselves probably will afford going forward. That story is on page 18. And why varsity funding for university students is far from resolved. Yesterday we saw the Court of Appeal suspend a High Court decision to stop the funding model. But that case continues. These are the stories, just some of the highlights on the front page. Na pale kuna this big debate about match fixing yenye imekuwa hapa. It isn't me, top goalie Matasi and a probe for match fixing. Watu wamekasirika huko kwa X. Wamesema huyu jamaa sio atamfanyia nini, hakuna. Hii ni Kenya tu.
Unajua hiyo soup inaweka watu kwa cult.
Kuna soup inaweka watu kwa cult.
That bone soup. Supu craze.
Oh, supu craze.
Bone soup.
Bone soup. Especially for men. Bone broth is very important. Uliza Amerix. Nashaambia masculinity. Kama uja attend class uko nyuma. It's important.
The Standard cartels hellhole. Now I love this one. You know, I'm very, very passionate about the Ministry of Health. Musical chairs. President William Ruto seems to take a gamble on how to handle the Ministry of Health. While it is not in doubt, corrupt syndicates have a stranglehold on the key docket. 3 cabinet secretaries and 5 principal secretaries in 2 years is what experts say is the wrong prescription to ending graft and giving Kenyans proper services they pay for. 5 principal secretaries in 2 years and 3 cabinet secretaries in 2 years. Pale Ministry of Health ukienda unapata former cabinet secretaries wamekaa hapo. The Ministry of Health wako wengi.
Former who?
Former cabinet secretaries wa health. Wamejaa hapo kwa entrance sana.
Wakifanya nini?
Si wako wako kwa picha.
Wako kwa picha. Ni kama wale wa White House, wale wazee wa
get out. So the transition from NHIF to SHA seems to be the biggest headache the government is facing. Accusations of improper issuance of tenders to senior government officials manipulating the scheme have dogged the authority. Now, claims of skewed payments and poor service delivery have pushed officials to the corner, and instead of this being addressed, new officials have been brought on board to clean the mess.
It reminds me, today I've received a text message from SHA. I won't tell you about it.
And you know, tukiongelelea pia SHA, we are talking about cabinet secretaries wanawekwa, wanatolewa. SHA
lakini cartels ndo wana control.
SHA tumeona Ingasira, tumeona Mohamed, tumeona yule alitolewa Elijah Washira. A lot is happening with SHA. Cartels hellhole, the Ministry of Health. Now, Ruto in fiery meeting before cabinet shuffle. That story is on page 4. And Machar arrests.
Karibu Macharia.
Machar arrests with South Sudan on age.
All right. So the South Sudan crisis still persists. On the Star, the Weekend Star. Yes, Weta Ouster, Luya MPs protest to Ruto. Now you see, just before the reshuffle this week, the same day that President William Ruto effected the reshuffle, all elected and appointed Luya leaders were there. All PSs who come, CSs, MPs, Speaker of the National Assembly, all those leaders were actually at State House. One of the things they discussed, and they got a commitment from the President, was that Deborah Barasa, who was then CS for Health, she would never be moved. And President William Ruto akaambia, hiyo rumor mumesikia huko, hiyo ni uongo, achana na hiyo hakuna. Wakatoka huko, they were very happy.
Hata mimi na support.
They were very happy. Hakuwa amefika kwa gate. Reshuffle. Akatolewa Health Ministry. So, Western leaders concerned about speculations to kick out House Speaker. Sasa tunataka kuongea kuhusu Health CS. But kama walipromisiwa, sijui tuambie ama tusiwaambie. Tuache tu.
Wacha tu. Wacha.
Another big siasa headline here, Nyoro Babu acquire new joint party. Yes, new kids on the block, they call them. Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino there. So they can acquire a new joint party. This will be very interesting going forward. Both sahi kwa zile chama wako nazo. Babu Owino is wanaitwaje yule? Ole umetolewa kwenyu umefukuzwa.
Black sheep?
Kuna ile umefukuzwa kwenu. That word. He is that for ODM, he is that for UDA. Hawatakikani nyumbani. Kule kwingine Haji Defense NIS spells out hurdles agency faces in war against terror, and they were speaking in the same forum where the Chief of Defense Forces, Francis Kahariri, spoke about issues of must go. Yes. Benedict Kabiru, authorities name officer killed by Caribbean gang. Yes, it is indeed true that in Haiti, a Kenyan policeman was killed this past week. Pale on the Siasa pull-out, Ruto's game of chess and the new battle for Mount Kenya region. Remember, the much-anticipated trip to Mount Kenya kicking off this coming Monday. Alafu hiyo story ya Matasi. Harambee Stars top keeper Matasi denies match-fixing dossier. That's the Star, Weekend Star. Remember, hii utasoma hii kuanzia leo hadi Sunday. Yes. Fresh, independent, different. Ukiwa na 60 bob utainunua hapa Kenya. Kama uko kule Kampala ni 2,000. Na ukiwa maeneo ya Dar es Salaam ni 1,000 kama uko nazo kwa mfuko. Unanunua the Weekend Star.
Taifa Leo Koskei kutoa nguvu za kuajiri, hilo ni swali, na mzozo unatokota kuhusu mswada mpya unaopendekeza mkuu wa utumishi wa umma atwikwe mamlaka ya kuajiri watumishi wa umma, huku Public Service Commission ikidai kuna njama ya kudhoofisha mashirika huru. Na PSC kwenye ripoti yalalama kuwa mswada mpya unalenga kuipokonya mamlaka yake ya kikatiba.
Now kumbuke, we have the PSC, the Public Service Commission, we have a Ministry of Public Service, and we have the Head of Public Service.
Yes.
Yeah. Hapo lazima kuna confusion mahali. Who does what where when?
Yes, that's the question. A lot of acha nisiseme hiyo. Ajabu kaunti ya Nyamira kuwa na mabunge mawili, na gavana asema wazia kuomba Rais Ruto kuteua kamati maalum kuisimamia. Wakuu wa usalama watoa onyo kuhusu Ruto must go. Wasema mabadiliko yoyote ya uongozi lazima yafanyike kwa mujibu wa katiba. Meulizwa hapo must go na go where. US yaamuru Kir aachilie naibu wake anayezuiliwa masuala ya South Sudan. Na kule juu, seneta ataka gavana akabidhi naibu mamlaka. Seneta Nakuru ataka MCS kuingilia kati kuzuia mgogoro mkubwa kaunti hiyo. Nakuru is going through it.
Yeah. Our governor is away on maternity and medical leave.
You are governor.
Yes. Now the senator ndo anaongea hapa, lakini walisema wabunge kina mama wakasema it's very wrong to castigate a new mother who's on maternity leave. Hapo mimi nakubaliana nao. Wachaneni tu naye.
Mnasikiaje mkiitwa Nakuru Girls?
Chelsea
City zamesema ate 16 million shillings, and timu hizo mbili za Uingereza zilitoa klabu bingwa mwaka 2021.
No, going back to Nairobi.
2023.
Actually, going back to Nakuru, it's the only county which has a female governor, female senator, and at least is it 4 or 5 female MPs.
Kwani nini Namibia, that country?
Na kuna women rep bado. Unaweza ita Nakuru Girls ni sawa. Matters Business Daily. Poster to lay off 600 as mail delivery plunges. 25% of workforce targeted in shake-up, and a strategic investor sought for courier. Now, you know, we wonder if Poster still works. Ukiuliza Gen Z kazi ya Poster nini, anajua kweli? Na siku hizi unapata tu email, actually unapata tu WhatsApp text, umefutwa kazi. Kitambo ulikuwa unangojea inapelekwa Poster,
unaenda unachukua. Alafu
utaletewa kama 1 week later. Ulifutwa kazi lakini hujui. Yeah. Equity raises dividend payouts. That's another story given prominence there. And on the ticker, geothermal power dominance shrinks to 3-year low. Meanwhile, unajua kule Tanzania jirani anatafuta stima. Kenya maintains 840 million shilling dividend as net profit retreats. And finally, fund managers fight for control of civil servants' pension billions. That's the Business Daily today. Hey, huyu jamaa leo amefanyia maneno.
Papa Atuoli. Yes.
Rudia tena. Sio Papa Atuoli. Papa Atuoli.
Papa Atuoli.
Exactly.
Yes to fatherhood. Baby daddy. Despite their highly publicized romance, early controversies and significant age gap, Atuoli, 76 years, and Mary Kilobi, 40 years, have welcomed their first child together, anaitwa Atuoli Jr.
So if you're 36 years old as a man, it means that probably your bride is not yet born.
I did not go through any medical procedures to conceive. That is Mary Kilobi. I believe everything happens when it is supposed to. Kotu Secretary General welcomes baby number 18.
And this is a real man.
At 70.
A real Luya man. Baby number 18 at 76.
Interesting. Kihika, the untold story of babies and sickness.
Yes.
Page 5. This newspaper talked to her.
All right. It is exactly 28 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at
Caricature.
kama tukuwekeo karakacha. Kama uko nazo tuonyeshe tujue what the cartoons have today. Na ni kama hatuna cartoon. So probably we take a look at the traffic situation. Now that we have time. Leo tumeenda hadi Botswana. Tukasahau cartoons hapa. Traffic situation across Nairobi. Nasikia cartoons yapatikana. That's the People Daily. Yes.
cabinet kuna mtu amefurushwa pale nje. Of course that is the former public service cabinet secretary Justin Muturi, caricature. Commentator anauliza pale, where will he land?
But unaona mahali amewekwa hiyo cabinet, kumbe inakuanga in a very precarious position. It's always on a cliff. Ukitoka tu hivi nje unaanguka.
Lakini our land pabaya, because you see wale wametolewa wako na kazi. So where will he land?
But before he was fired, his boss said he was the most incompetent AG, not a CS AG.
AG.
That's a Daily Nation, and he has a president somewhere playing on reshuffling his cabinet, but kuna mtu mmoja tu atoki.
Blue-eyed boy.
Blue-eyed boy. Lakini pale nje kuna watu, kuna mlima pale, kuna mtu anafikiria tu kuku, huyo lazima ni wa Western. Na kuna ngamia pia naangalia. Anafanya tu reshuffle, lakini kuna jamaa moja atolewi. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation. Next one.
The Star. Caricature there of a PLP party leader Martha Karua Odinga, a caricature there akibeba mkate yake pale. Na caricature of the president. Alafu
anasema it's not what it looks like. I'm just there for the country. You know, Raila Odinga has twice stated this week that he is not in government.
Yes.
Akona mkate nusu, lakini anasema hapana, it's not what it looks like.
Yes.
Hii si vile unasema.
Karua alimwambia wachana nayo.
Alimwambia, can you formalize that marriage mara moja? Wache mara iko mara hakuna. All right, that's the cartoon of the Star. Finally on the Standard, kuna jamaa amefurushwa pale na nyuki. I think ni kama ule tu tumeona kwa People Daily.
Yes.
On one frame anasema I'm not a coward, anachokoza nyuki. I'm not a coward. Nyuki zimetoka. Sasa ni afuate nyuki ale asali. Lakini kuna nundu moja hapa kama torch. Sio mimi nimesema, ni hao cartoonists. All right. And you can see, back to the traffic situation, the trouble along Thika Road is building up. Areas from Githurai to Kasarani, all the way from Githurai to Kasarani, a long stretch of red. You can actually see that. And even after Kasarani, another long stretch to Garden City Mall. So guys using Thika Road, poleni sana. Leo, it is proper traffic. And that, because that's happening further up on Thika Road, it means that Pangani interchange is not so bad this morning. Watu wa Kiambu Road, this is the best time to leave because Thika Road hawaendi mahali. Yes. So Kiambu Road peke yao ndio wako pale Pangani interchange. All right. Eastern side, watu wa Kangundo Road leo hawajaamka. It's quite comfortable. All right. So that's the traffic situation this morning. After the break, we'll be having State of the Nation panel.
Stay with us, interact with us, our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, TV47 News KE on X. My handle is at @Ann_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe Feel Good Friday.
My hashtag, not my hashtag. My handle is at Freddy Ndimuli on X.
Did you know that the Kenya Pipeline Company's right-of-way spans over 1,342 kilometers? Did you know Kenya's pipeline assessment on both sides measure approximately 30 meters in width? To ensure your safety and the integrity of our pipeline system, we encourage you to strongly desist from unauthorized activities, including digging, lighting fires, among others, along KPC's right-of-way. Report any suspicious activities such as drilling, excavating, digging, or blasting near the pipeline. Call our toll-free line 800-720-198 and stay safe. Saidia kuhakikisha usalama wa bomba la mafuta.
Gladys anapenda mtu tall, black, na mtu reloaded, konda kakitu. Bora tu kitu inapumua. Okay, I'm not expecting that. Wewe unajua soko venye ni chafu.
My name is Isaac. I'm a widow. My wife passed on 1 year ago.
My mom's death came sudden. She just complained of a headache and fell.
When I first saw him walking, nearly feel he's the one.
What is your attitude towards sex? Do you have to use it as a tool to punish me, or they think having sex with them it's as if they are doing men a favor?
Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Will Rogers.
This is the 77%, the platform for Africa's youth to debate issues and share ideas.
Africa's population is growing fast.
Why are we so religious?
What is the relationship between religion and corruption in African countries?
Young people have felt for the longest time that they were not part of the conversation.
And we want to find out why.
Poverty is poverty. It's not about where you come from. It's about trying to survive, and everybody's trying to survive. It doesn't matter what country you come from.
So I guess in a lot of ways, we still have a long way to go. It is not fair.
So yeah, looks like we're all ready for a fight, hasn't it?
You can watch all new shows and all new programs of the 77% right here.
Did you know that if you get a paper cut, applying lip balm or petroleum jelly can help soothe the pain and promote faster healing? The moisturizing properties can create a barrier and prevent the cut from drying out.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Ndimuli. Today being a Friday, we have very young members of the panel today on State of the Nation as we take a look at the big discussion. Of course, the biggest talking point this week has been the mini cabinet reshuffle that President William Ruto effected on Wednesday this week. Allow me to introduce my panelists, beginning on my immediate right, Josephat Kamanya, political analyst. Karibu sana. Next to Bwana Kamanya, we have Hans Rop, political analyst. Karibu sana Rop. And Gakuna Njima Castro makes a comeback to TV47. He's also a political analyst. It's good to have you in studio, sir.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Kabala Kile is also with us, National Deputy Chairperson, People's Liberation Party. Let's start off with that issue about cabinet reshuffle. Today they're not really on the front pages, apart from the People Daily, where they're talking about, and this is a different angle, people have already been removed from positions in cabinet or PSs, but they are still given a soft landing within the government structure. And we have people like Ababu Namwamba, who was CS Sports, Susan Nahumicha, who was Health CS, Culture CS, former Culture CS, Aisha Jumwa, former ICT CS, Eliud Owalo, who are all still in government in different capacity, even Moses Kuria and PS Kisiangani there, who quite rattled the media. They say despite their colleagues having been sent into oblivion and being found incompetent as cabinet secretaries, this battalion was given new trappings of power as ambassadors, parastatal chiefs and advisors. So this is one angle, but I'd want to gauge your assessment of the latest mini reshuffle and whether or not it had any serious thought behind it. Kamanya.
Good morning, Fred, and a good morning to our viewers. A quick reminder that the rains are coming, so I hope our citizens can share the road wisely to avoid any incidents and accidents. And it's a pertinent question on how well the cabinet reshuffle is geared towards the public policy, because generally they should be there to guide on how.
Allow me to stop you there because we need to sort out something there. Hans Wop, let's come to you. Your assessment of this cabinet reshuffle. The question is, was there really any kind of serious thinking behind it, or is simply political expediency?
Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
There's much to observe in the reshuffle that just happened. One is you notice the character of former CS for Public Service, Justin Muturi. You cannot have such kind of a person who do not be, being a cabinet secretary means you are a team with the president who leads the country. So it couldn't have worked more than it is to have him in the cabinet. You remember even at some point he could not attend the cabinet meetings. And I think it was even overdue. He should have been reshuffled along. But probably the president was playing his politics when to do it. And I think that reshuffle was necessary. If you observe whatever we've had, the challenges we've had in Ministry of Health, the issues of SHA implementation, and there were even some wrong information in the social media that the current CS, the former CS for Health, wasn't that maybe aggressive about it and so on. And I think maybe President in his own wisdom thought maybe Hardened is going to do much better, and therefore reshuffling him with a lady to ministry.
Do you understand that kind of reasoning? Because Deborah Barasa is actually a senior medical officer.
Yeah, but then it is about managerial experience, more of it. It's not about expertise, because even we had Mudai Gagwe, who did so well. He's not a doctor. We had Professor Nyang'nyong during his time. He's a professor of history. He wasn't a doctor. Right. So it's more about managerial experience in a capacity at all. That how can you manage? Because if you go to you remember there are head of departments who have been in the ministry for many years, so they have more experience. Okay. It's about managing and running it on how it can.
That is indeed our biggest discussion this morning, and we'll be back to take a look at more headlines as we continue getting the assessment from my panelists. It's also the big discussion on the other side in radio. Allow me to walk off, go join my colleagues in radio and discuss this. I'll be back in a short while.
Kenya nzima. Africa nzima. Kenya is leading katika kuimport mitumba kuingiza hapa katika taifa la Kenya, ambayo imeshinda mpaka Nigeria wanasema hapa, na Nigeria iko na population mara 4 ya Kenya. So how does this happen? Fred Ndimbuli tuko naye katika Radio 47 hapa ndipo. Vipi?
Good morning.
Good morning my brother.
How
are you doing?
Salama sana.
Mambo mazuri?
Kabisa, mengi mazuri.
Na kuangalia pale kwenye TV 47 na kuona ushafika hapa sasa.
Niko TV 47. Akambe teknolojia
bwana.
Tutaelewa tu.
I tell you. Otherwise,
kwanza ningependa wish my brothers, Muslim brothers.
Yes.
This I know we're getting closer, tunafikia mwisho wa mwezi mkuu wa Ramadan.
Yes.
Kutakuwa na Eid weekend
yes.
hii. So I wish them all the best.
Yes.
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak. Yes. I'm telling you, Eid Mubarak. Manake Eid ndio itakuwa inaanza rasmi pale. Kando na pale tumeangalia katika magazeti pale Mitumba Nation.
Mitumba ni kama tunatumia mitumba kweli hapa Kenya kuliko wengine.
Na rais alikuwa amesema kwamba tutakuza viwanda vya humu nchini Kenya ili tuache kuimport sana. Viatu vya leather.
Kuna mambo mengi sisi usema, lakini kutekeleza ni mambo tofauti. Because walikuwa wamesema ndio watafutie vijana ajira, wataangalia viwanda vya hapa nchini kama Rivertex, waviamshe, lakini ni kama bado mitumba biashara imekuwa kubwa zaidi, inazidi kunoga. Na ukumbuke Nigeria wako na watu wengi sana, population yao ni karibu milioni 200.
Wametuzunguka mara 4.
Mara 4.
Yes.
Na tunatumia mitumba kualiko, lakini tunang'ara. Tunasema luku baridi.
Luku baridi. Inakaa fresh. Lakini pia hiyo mitumba bado imeajiri watu. Si kwamba inakuja tu, imeajiri watu pia.
Ukienda Gikomba utaelewa, na ukienda Toy Market utaelewa.
Bado imeajiri watu pale. Naona Pia katika story nyingine pale, mkuu wa majeshi pamoja na NIS boss wamesema hii Ruto must go imezidi.
Amesema kazi ya jeshi ni kuprotect the constitution. Hawajakataa, mnaweza sema Ruto must go, Ruto must go. Lakini lazima ikuwe within the constitution. Anasema, na alisema ukweli. General Francis Kaharila alisema nyinyi wenyewe mlichagua.
Ni serikali yenu.
Kisheria, kihalali. Alafu miaka 2 baadaye mnakuja kusema must go, must go. Sawa, must go, lakini lazima iwe
within the constitution. Because sisi duty yetu ni kulinda hii serikali mlioichagua.
Hivyo hivyo.
Our duty,
sisi tunafanya kazi yenu.
Kazi yenu.
Exactly.
So must go must be done within the constitution. Kwani kuna mtu amemwambia kuna mpango kwamba wende kafanyika out of the constitution?
Because unajua wengine wakisema must go now, itafanyikaje sasa within the constitution? There's no provision for such. Na hivyo anasema kama mtafanya within the law ni sawa.
Lakini why would they say that? Why would NIS boss Nurdin Haji na Kariri watokelezee mbele ya umma kusema kitu kama hicho? Kuna kitu wamesikia ama ni nini? I mean, why would they?
Ni kama reality check on Kenyans. Unajua watu wengi wanasema Ruto must go, Ruto must go, but which route? Ataendaje? Mtamuimpeach bungeni ama mtafanya nini? Because that is the only way provided for. Kisheria.
Umeona katika gazeti la The Star, Ndindi Nyoro na Babu Owino
wako na chama chao kipya.
Is that true?
Well, unajua wale wote ni kama wamefurushwa kutoka vyama vyao. Babu Owino kule ODM hatakikani. Ndindi Nyoro kule UDA hatakikani. Sasa wamekuja pamoja. Vijana wadogo lakini wanapendwa kweli na watu.
PPK, People's Party of Kenya. Wamekuja pamoja katika chama chao. What do you think? What do you think? Unaonaje hii combination ya Babu Owino na Ndindi Nyoro?
Ni vizuri, kwanza ni vyema sababu wanatoka maeneo tofauti. Kuna mmoja anatoka Nyanza, lakini ana represent hapa Nairobi. Kuna mwingine anatoka Mount Kenya na unasikia vile Mount Kenya kunaenda. Next week kwanza tutasikia mambo mengi sana rais akienda huko. Hiyo ziara yake ya wiki mzima. Because nilitaka tuzungumzie masuala ya cabinet reshuffle. Imeleta tumbo joto sana. Na unajua imekuja siku chache tu kabla ya ziara ya rais. Na alafu leo kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa People Daily wanasema watu wengi wanafutwa na rais, hawaendi mahali. Unafutwa, unapewa kazi nyingine. Unafutwa, unapewa kazi nyingine. Kama umefutwa sababu ya utepetevu kazini,
ndio
mbona unapewa kazi nyingine? Aisha Jumwa alipewa kazi. Ababu na Mwamba akapewa kazi.
True.
Mwingine nani pale? Moses Kuria akatolewa trade, akapewa kazi nyingine.
Na
Kumincha akatolewa health, akapewa kazi nyingine. Yule mwingine alikuwa ICT anaitwa nani? Eliud Owalo akatolewa kule, akapewa kazi nyingine.
Justin Muturi tu ndo sioni akipewa kazi nyingine.
Huyo ni kama amerushwa nje.
Kuna wale wapewe kazi nyingine.
Kuna wale
Justin Muturi, Rigathi Gachagua.
Kama utakikani lakini unajua ni kazi umejitafutia kule nje ya upinzani.
Wewe unajipatia kazi nyingine ya upinzani.
Pengine rais anafanya hivyo ndio usiende upande ule mwingine. Akikupa kazi bado uko under his wing. Akikuachilia na asikupe kazi utaenda kule kwingine kwa upinzani.
So kuna watu wanawachilia tu waende kama ni kwa upinzani ni sawa, it's okay. Na kuna watu hawataki katika usaidi ya upinzani.
Hataki Moses Kuria upande ule mwingine. Hataki Ababu na Mwamba kule kwingine. Lakini sasa tutajua mbivu na mbichi. Rais anapozuru maeneo ya Mlima Kenya kuanzia Jumatatu ijayo hadi Ijumaa. Kweli watamkubalia, watamkaribisha vipi?
Na nasikia atakuwa anaanzia Laikipia alafu anakwenda Nyeri.
Pale Nyeri kwanza. Maeneo ya Karatina. Utaona moto.
Asante sana. Friday Ndemole, msikilizaji, unaweza kuwatch live katika TV47 right now. Tuko live kwenye TV47, tuko live katika Radio 47 na tuko live katika www.radio47.fm.
Na kama narejea kule kuna jamaa anaitwa Josephat Kamanya pale. Tulikuwa tumeanza mazungumzo ya hii reshuffle na nikamuuliza swali, Kamanya, what do you think about this latest mini reshuffle and the thinking behind it by the president?
All right. Dondoo magazetini asubuhi hii ya leo.
Dondoo magazetini. Radio 47 92.9 Malindi. Hapa
Ouster had asked you a question and you didn't get a chance to answer. Your general feeling about the thinking behind this latest mini reshuffle.
Right. You know, Fred, of essence, it should be that the cabinet is there to serve and sustain and improve on service delivery. Much as, you know, it could be argued that they are largely political appointments and managerial positions. You know, there also has to be a willingness to improve on service delivery, and that is what we have not been having. And the president started coming out by criticizing, critiquing his own cabinet. You know, like before a year.
Okay.
Was over in the government.
Okay, and Kamanya, I think we're still having a problem with your microphone. Pole sana. Let's go to Kuna Njima Castro. Bwana Castro, what do you think about this cabinet reshuffle? Apologies, Bwana Kamanya.
Well, friend, thanks for having me again. And on this cabinet reshuffle, I think it's good to recognize that it is 2.5 years when the president is still struggling with the making of a cabinet. Well, and it is an issue of incompetence and organizational skills, because we cannot be in a republic or organizational feelings that in every the 2.5 years, 5 reshuffles has been made, but we are still struggling with getting competent cabinet secretaries who can actually bring up the reforms that the republic needs. You see, when the president and Musalia Mudavadi came together, they talked about an earthquake, you know, a troubling earthquake. But the troubling here, we are troubling with the institutions, you know, troubling institutions, troubling economy, you know, troubling healthcare, education systems, and sort of all manner of shaking, including the shaking of public servants' payslip. When we are talking about these reshuffles that the president is again not really, he has not ended up making out the reshuffles to the core. We are expecting more reshuffles to happen again. We are looking at a place where the president is trying to manage the politics and expectation of Kenyans by trying to fix areas where he thinks he might get some more advantage politically and gain some traction in politics.
It's more political than it has to do with service delivery. Because, for example, the health ministry, now it has its 3rd CS. About 5 PSs have come and gone in the same ministry. SHA is still a challenge. Do you think the president will get it right 3 CSs later within 2.5 years?
The AG almost got 3, save for the nomination of, what was her name? The lady, also Miano, even environment has had 3. But Fred, to me, this is the highest and best example of incompetence. Because you see, Fred, leadership requires a plan, a vision. Leadership needs to be consistent and predictable. There's no way every 2 weeks you can be waking up, every month, every year, every quarter, you're waking up to a reshuffle, to new appointments. What basically is happening here, the appointing authority remains the sole decision maker. But the people who are coming in, they're just coming in as flower girls. They're the same monkeys, same forest, different trees. So I don't see the hula baloo about when you keep changing you're not even changing, reshuffling the players from one tree to another, from one section to another, and nothing changes. I would have expected, if it's about the reshuffle, the president to address the issue of security. Call Murkomen. Let's talk about this, the 30 Kenyans who have been killed in the northern frontier. The 6 policemen who are attacked in Garissa in a police camp. Talk about the fertilizer. The subsidy is not enough. The government in 2023 under Linturi commissioned the enumeration of farmers. They got around 4.2. So the government already knows the number of farmers, what crops they're growing, how much fertilizer they require, but the fertilizer is not enough. What kind of incompetence is this?
Did this incompetence start at the point of appointment? Because the issue is the president had to get rid of so many CSs within a very short period of time. And it raises a question on whether or not the president really paid attention when he was actually coming up with the names. Yet, even with that incompetence, if at all they were fired for incompetence, many of them are still surviving within government. What does that tell us, Bwana Kamanya?
Well, it makes us question the appointing authority. And the appointing authority, sadly, also has an advisory docket, but has become a dumping site for all these incompetent CSs. So we would have to wonder now as a nation, to what extent can we continue to trust? The trust deficit continues to grow. To what extent can we continue to trust the appointing authority of the cabinet or the leader of this regime? Because it is in plain sight for all Kenyans to see and understand that the CSAs we've been having, the ministries have been running, there is no adequate provision of service. There are large concerns, the issues to do with security, with health, with education funding. I mean, all around, even Treasury now, we are still yet to see what is going to come out of that, because that's going to be another major concern. But sadly, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of, these are politically instigated appointments. And for the sake of political expediency, as my colleague has alluded to, the president has had to retain some of these people. Unfortunately, it seems like the concessions he made with the coalition parties that he got into government with are coming out to hound him. And the persons he's having to retain in government for political expediency, for example, Adan Duale, I have said this before, with such friends, the president needs no enemies. So it is a detriment of the provision of service. My concern is the public policy does not improve. Because if the reshuffle was geared towards improving the performance of the government, then as Kenyans, we would not have a concern. But I'm yet to see a reshuffle that improves service delivery or improves trust in government. We are short of political stagnation, whereby nothing will be moving in this government if this is a trend we keep. So we should be very concerned, and I think the president needs to critically make tough decisions if he is willing to serve at least for the next remaining term of the first term of presidency.
Ansrop, you must admit that a lot of the decisions by the president are more political than about service delivery. And the issue of even the health ministry, just the same day before he made that mini reshuffle, he met Luhya leaders, or leaders from the Luhya community at State House, Nairobi. And one of the things he talked about, he promised them that whatever they had heard about the possibility of Deborah Barasa being moved from the health ministry, it was just a rumor, and that would never happen. Hours later, or probably minutes later, she had been moved to the Ministry of Environment. The president keeps making these promises, political promises, and not living up to them. Don't you think that that also has a risk for the president?
We live in a more hyped political country today. And these are political positions. And this political position comes with a lot of demands from those who are electorates, who fought for these people to the positions. And therefore, it makes us go to politics to give promises. Even if you serve those who are in the opposition currently, all they will do is to give promises to an electorate so that an electorate can elect them. You cannot say today, I'm fine for president, but I will make decision of the cabinet secretary on my own. You will have to tell a region or the so-called kingpins of regions that I will give you this docket, I'll give you to add this docket, you'll give me someone to add this docket. And one of the challenges you face with such, and we've seen it even in Kibaki regime, we've seen it in Uhuru regime, every time they've been reshuffles. You remember even in Uhuru, the first time they were reshuffles whereby the likes of Felix Koske were got out of Minister of Agriculture and so on. You go to Kibaki, the same removals of the likes of Raila Odinga, those days, James Orengo. So what it means is, Fred, we live in a hyped political country, whether we love it or not. Whether the one in opposition today will take over the government or not, they will give cabinet positions to regional kingpins so that they manage their politics. One thing I'm studying in Kenya, to my thinking at times it irritates me, is that people have used their regions, tribes, to fight to get positions for themselves, not for the people. One thing I would love today is that if by any chance you come from a certain region and you are a leader in that region and you are given a position in the government, do it for the benefit of the people. And because if you study because of these reshuffles that have always happened, you do it so that you balance the tension of the politics in the country. If today President Ruto fires all the cabinet and wants to appoint people who are not politicians, and I have not any political connection. There's no kind, you know, for somebody to be appointed today a cabinet secretary from Western Kenya, there's a serious mobilization of political leaders to do lobbying.
Yet we had already sorted out this problem with the new constitution, and in 2013 probably that's the very first time we got an expert cabinet devoid of politicians, and probably then it would have made it easier for the president to balance the kind of interests that are there. When you involve politicians, it becomes harder even for the president.
Well, sure, especially when it comes to, if you look very clearly, you can see that the first cabinet after his swearing in, you can see it was all dominated by politicians, people who came from the political square, and then they were appointed as CS, people who had no experience of managing a docket in the ministry. You know, it was the first lading into the ministry. And the first cabinet really wasted Kenyans' time and resources, because it is the cabinet that actually amplified the Gen Z to get into the streets. Because this cabinet never saw anything that was so significant to the Kenyans, that they only enriched themselves. The sentiments that these people used to make, they were not for the public good, but for their own benefit, and to cement the political scale. If you remember clearly that these sentiments actually, this cabinet was used to communicate political messages of pushing away the Azimio or any alleged opposition people away from even getting closer into the government. And it is this verge of these people trying to compete, because they were trying to compete, is the government competing with the people, and again, it has a competition with the opposition. And then at this time, moment, before William Ruto realized it, that the government was on a free fall, it was too late for him. And it is in the verge of a Gen Z getting to the streets that made William Ruto realize that there is a problem, there is a mistake in his cabinet, and he really needed to act. And his actions was also advised. His action was also advised by the real issues that Kenyans were talking about, because we had farmers complaining of the issues of fertilizer, that even the counterfeit of goods, you know, we had Kenyans complaining about insecurity, we had people complaining about the health sector, but the change that these people advised to the country, that was never realized. So it is at this time that William Ruto is 2.5 years after, it is when he's realizing that he has a problem in making sure that he can actually deliver the better plan.
Has he realized the problem? Because he still appears to be going for politicians. For the 18th time, he's raided Parliament again and gotten another member of Parliament to cabinet. When he had the reshuffle, most of those people from ODM were members of Parliament. So this insistence on going with politicians, that could just be the headache for the president.
And there are no competent politicians. You know, that's another question. Yes, you can insist you want to go to people. Yes, you can insist we have kingpins. Those kingpins, are there no competent politicians? But the thing I see is this is a tone-deaf government. How many ministers do you expect will come and advise you that SHA is not working? Then you'll make a reaction to it. Then you'll start making SHA work. How many ministers will tell you that the funding model is not working, but your solution is to reshuffle? How many ministers will tell you Kenya is importing Mitumba clothes more than any other country in Africa? Manufacturing is not working. We need to look at the policies of manufacturing. How many ministers, how many reshuffles do you require? I tend to somehow agree with most Kenyan sentiments that the most incompetent individual in our governance system might be the appointing authority.
Wow. Indeed, the hashtag Ruto must go continues to trend online. Yesterday, the Chief of Defense Forces finally made a comment on this. It is part of the stories covered here at TV47. Let's get to hear what the CDF Francis Kahariri had to say about the now famous chants of Ruto must go.
Ruto must go. The scenes at Nyayo National Stadium Sunday. In Naivasha during the WRC Safari Rally, Ruto must go, since that have now become the order in entertainment joints and other social places. The Kenya Defence Forces is now warning that all these must be done with the law.
So wakati watu wanaamua kwamba tumechoka na hii serikali na mulichagua wenyewe, alafu mnasema must go. That must go must be done according to the constitution.
Kenyans have been expressing their displeasure with the current government, chanting Ruto must go in various places. This is the first time the military boss is speaking on the matter. The sentiments comes just days before President William Ruto tours the Mount Kenya region, a region that has been termed to be cold for the president since the impeachment of his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua last year. The chief of the Defence Forces, Charles Kahiriri, says their mandate is to protect elected government. Kahiriri, for the first time, also responded to claims of the use of military during the Gen Z-led protest last year.
This issue of how politics goes and all that, by the way, the military, one of the core values is that we are apolitical. We don't support any political side. We defend the Constitution and the government of the day, duly elected by the people.
Last week, Defence Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya said the KDF deployment order from June 2024 remains active, adding that there is ongoing court case on the matter.
If there is a problem, it will be the implementation and the people given the responsibility to implement the laws. But the laws as they are constitutional and they respond to a democratic thirst.
Without cohesion, there is no national security. We also need to repair our broken political landscape to create a resilient state and nation. As a nation, we must pivot on an uncompromising commitment to our democratic polity.
Mohammed for TV 47, Nairobi.
Yes, indeed, a rather curious warning coming from none other than the Chief of Defence Forces, who we rarely get to see speaking publicly about any issue. And for the first time he comes out and the first thing he tells you is that your Ruto must go to Meskia, but you have to do it according to the Constitution. But you must agree with the gentleman that even as the chants continue, there are serious concerns that what routes are you hoping to use when you say Ruto must go?
Well, first of all, that was one of a kind, an intelligence agencies coming up together and offer a conference to Kenyans. Because for far too long we have not known what is happening. And sometimes that's why there has been a lot of hostility, because they've come out as untouchables and they've come out as defenders of the regime, whichever government. And it offers clarity where there is communication, because as General Kahiriri says, they're there to protect the Constitution and serve the government of the day. I find nothing wrong with his statement, saying that that must go, must happen within the law. He did not say people to stop saying must go. He did not say that must go must not happen. He says when it comes to it happening, it must happen within the law. And for far too long, we've been crying out for rule of law, application of the rule of law. That's what we want. That's the kind of a country we require. So I am not concerned with this statement. What I would want us to think of as Kenyans is exactly what you're asking. As we say must go, what will be the right channel? Are we calling for a snap election, or are we going to wait until 2027? Because, again, we don't want to throw the country into a disarray. We don't want to go the way of, we've seen our neighbors, like see what's happening in Sudan or Somalia. We don't want to go that way. We want a functional government. And we do not have an issue with the Constitution as Kenyans. We do not have an issue with positions in government. What we have is a leadership deficit. It is the current regime that we have an issue with. The leaders of the day are the ones who are not able to serve us as Kenyans. And that's why change is imminent, change is inevitable, but we must take a path that does not take us back.
Yes.
Our problem is not political parties, it's not politicals, the people. It is an economic situation that the government is not able to deal with. And that's why you see all these social unrest coming up. That's why you see the issue of Mitumba going up very high, because the uptake of Mitumba means, one, there is demand for clothes, but then the apparel industry in the country is not operating, is not functional. And people need to create employment. So the easiest thing to do is to do what is in demand, sell clothes. And many other small-scale industries are coming up. But remember, this government had
when we were campaigning for this government, we promised that we are going to have cottage industries. There was the statement of one county, one product that was geared towards industrialization, and it is not happening. So when security agencies come out and say this, because one, they have realized the unpopular status of the current president with the people. You saw that in Kasarani, you saw that in Naivasha. Everywhere you go, every weekend. And it's going to escalate day by day. But what I like, it is peaceful.
Okay.
So we must keep peace.
Yes. And most of these people who have been chanting Ruto must go, base it on the fact that according to the constitution, power belongs to the people. But when power belongs to the people, it also comes with accountability and responsibility. The CDF, Chief of Defense Forces, Charles Kahariri, rightly puts it, this is a government you chose as a people. Now you're demanding that Ruto must go. Indeed, there's a question there and a challenge to the people chanting Ruto must go, that it is your responsibility to swallow what you bit and chewed. You must agree with the CDF.
My opinion will be different. But then I echo the words of the CDF on him as an officer. That's what he's supposed to do. He's employed to do, he's trained to do so. But myself as an analyst in politics, I would say that we seem to be in a tensional situation whereby we give leadership to a southern government, for instance now President Ruto's government, and we expect total changes in a year or 2 years. We must accept, and all Kenyans know why they chose President Ruto is because of the previous regime, how did it handle its things and how it was working. If the previous regime of President Uhuru, in his last time doing things, was okay, Raila would be elected the president of Kenya. But now that they chose to elect President Ruto, means they were not satisfied with how it was being run. And it means there are mistakes that this government inherited. And therefore, today, you cannot get a government and imagine everything is going to turn within 1 year or 2 years. What happened is, today, people chanting Ruto must go are in a tension mode. Probably they had a lot of expectation that now the government is going to come in within 1 year or 2 years, everything will have been sorted out, and we're in a more smooth running government. The issue is that every time you go into the presidency or you take in the leadership and you begin taking steps to make things work, you must follow the procedure of constitution. There must be a constitutional process. And therefore, it's going to take time for Kenyans or any citizen to feel the impact of it. Because if you study, this Ruto must go, they pick up an issue because there's no perfection in government. There are many things that the government has done so well. And upon there's anything wrong that today has not been delivered well, like what we have on the headlines today, like the issue of Mitumba, somebody will pick it up and run with it and forget any other good that the government could have delivered. But one thing we want to discuss is this. Are we here to play activism to fight the government, or we want to partner with the government we elected and see, oh, now we can work? I would love to see people moving ahead. I would love to see leadership, maybe even in the opposition or in any other kind of angle in the human rights sector or wherever, coming in and saying, we want to discuss with the government. We are not in a position today to fight for the next 2.5 years or 3 years to do another election. How can we make these 2.5 years functionable for the country? If there's what the president is not getting it right, how can we come in, get an input and make it work?
All right.
Because you realize, Fred, that even in the previous finance bill, there were several taxes that were come in on products that were going to be imported. And because we fought about it, there are issues that we must pay the price for.
Okay. Gakuna, when we talk about removal of the president, there are provisions even in the law, Article 145, through impeachment, and probably now the other option is to wait until election day. Kenyans who are chanting Ruto must go have just been hit by a reality check, because simply what the Chief of Defense Forces is saying, okay, fine, it has to be within the Constitution. Chant Ruto must go all you want, the routes are provided for. That's a real challenge. Do you think that probably those who have been chanting Ruto must go will now think of a serious way of how to do it?
Well, firstly, I would urge the military men to keep off the political sentiments, because once we entertain the military men to engage in the political sentiments and then they are counseling the public on how they should engage their elected leaders, then it becomes a challenge also dealing with the security matters. And you can see how the Kenyans have been trolling, especially the heads of these security organs. So you can imagine when we are having a trolling in the social media of an NIS and militaries, how we can paint this the country's image. So I would urge these military men to keep up. The Constitution really gives a leeway on how the president can be gotten out of office. Well, the public outcry or the public chants of must go, Ruto must go. Well, it is a clarion call of Kenyans who have come united on issues and based on the incompetence of a government, the government that does not deliver to the people, the government that hears nothing and sees nothing. One language that this government I have come to realize that it hears most is when it is compelled by the people, by the public to actually act. And it is when they are compelled to act, it is when they realize that they need to act. Well, the Ruto must go slogan or clarion call can also compel the president himself to also resign. Because once we have a public that is outcrying, the public that is has a united slogan that you must go, we know very well that once this Gen Z can maintain this Ruto must go, we have one revolutionary move that we can make through the ballot, of course, and that one is guaranteed to the Constitution, as the Chief Defense puts it. And this clarion call, of course, will maintain the ground, and you can tell that it is gaining traction once you see that a military boss and an NIA boss can come and comment on the same issue. These are strategic advisors to the president, and strategic advisors to the president, you can see that of course, they have already discussed with the president on the same issue. You know, we are having parties, we are having get-togethers of Kenyans who have come maybe like on Saturday they had come to watch and ululate on the game of Kenya and Gabon, but any score, any reaction that happened was a Ruto must go. So it was a security issue that needed to be discussed in the Security Council. And if these men, the two bosses of NIS and military, when they come to public again to ask Kenyans to chart this Ruto must go in a constitutional manner, you can say that this slogan have gained traction. It is just a matter of time, and then you see how the government can react. Yes. So I'll ask the military boss not to become, because the next move, if they continue this way, is to become a killer police. Like
it was indeed very telling for the members of the National Security Council to come out publicly to talk about this.
This is what you expect. This is a knee-jerk reaction you expect from an incompetent leadership. For me, I would have expected them to explain further and tell us. You've investigated. Why do you think Kenyans feel this way? Why are these sentiments? Where do they come from? Is it because of the broken promises? Is it because SHA is not working? Is it because the NHIF was removed? Is it because of our education system? Is it because of the governance? Why exactly are Kenyans so adamant that Ruto must go? What is it that Ruto has done? I would not have expected them to weaponize the security forces against Kenyans. We're a democracy. Let us talk. Then them as the advisors and the security personnel, let them now find what is the root cause of this slogan. Because there's a root cause of this slogan. This is an incompetent regime and a tone-deaf government. You tell them one thing, they respond to a different, they give you a solution to a different problem. And when it comes to what the CDF said about, we voted for them, so we must bite the bullet, I totally disagree with him. Is calling for accountability wrong? Yes, I voted for you, for example, Fred, but if I question you, Fred, you promised you'll do this. Is it now then you turn around and threaten me? We're not in a dictatorship. And two, my former principal, Honorable Raila, told us that he's always been winning, ni kutangazwa hajatangazwa. I personally did not vote for them. So I can't question this government. Those are the dictatorial tendencies that you see creeping up, that needs to be cut in the bud.
Yeah. Kamanya, you must agree that what Gakuna said is very interesting. The fact that for the first time we're seeing very senior security members of the National Security Council come out public to talk about this. Do you think that was the right way to communicate such an issue? The CDF, who rarely speaks in public, coming out to talk about it?
Well, in that context, no. Because remember, Kenyans, you have a lot of questions to the security agency. I would have wanted to hear an explanation on how they managed the onset of the Gen Z revolution. Because remember, we have killings courtesy of the police. None of that has really come out to light on how they feel, or their sentiments, or just a mere statement. Nothing. But to see them come out like this, Fred, we must understand one thing as Kenyans, that we've had a series of changes in this government. We started by having a very compromised National Assembly and the Senate. They remain largely incompetent. There is no hope for them doing what is right for Kenya. Now, we've moved on to changing the cabinet. It has become just a club for the appointing authority to try and exploit the political expediency. Remember, we've had a change of a deputy president in this country. And recently we had all the PSAs coming out to try and just campaign, and the CSAs after the reshuffle, campaign for the government agenda. And still, it did not give them any political traction. Further now, we are having now a series of PSAs, and the women reps are the ones who are now trying to front the government agenda. And now finally we had the security agencies coming out and trying to, in quotes, protect the government. The only change we have not, and none of that has yielded anything. The only change we have not experienced is a president. So they may keep trying to suppress the will of the people to have good governance within the rule of law and better service delivery from the government. But that agitation will continue. The revolution is on. The Ruto must go is not just an agitation against the character of the president. It is against the regime, that this regime is not able to manage our country. Regardless of what a person in government thinks, whether they wanted to pacify people by telling them, no, do it this way, do not do it, that does not change the reality. The reality is that people are disgruntled by the position that this government has assumed. So when you see security agents, and this is the last organ of protection of the people.
It has escalated very fast.
It has gone very fast. It's getting slippery, When you see them coming out and make that pronouncement, we must be concerned, and we hope that they do not get compromised. Because remember, during the onset of the revolution, the military came into the street. Much as they remained a bit friendly to the people, but that was very concerning. And who deployed? Who was the CS then? The one who is now in health. But the president was the same. We changed the deputy president, hoping that this country is going to have a bit of a political sanity. That did not happen. We've had a cabinet reshuffle. That did not happen. Now we have the security agents coming out, and I'm concerned because should they get compromised, then what is our last line of defense? Because judiciary, we are having issues there. So all organs of government, they are coming out and trying to pronounce themselves as important. And that is very worrying because, again, for us to be frank, as the military council tells us and tries to, as my colleague says, dictate on how we should manage our politics, which they should not, we are having issues in our borders. Why are they not protecting them?
Okay. Of course, when we talk about the stability of a government, there's also the factor, the Raila Odinga factor, that he was brought in to ensure stability of this administration. Yet we are having questions on that as well. The cartoon on the Star newspaper, and my director can help me with that, has the leader of the People's Liberation Party, Martha Karua, asking, yes, that one, asking the ODM leader Raila Odinga and his now friend William Ruto to formalize their union. Because for the second time this week, Raila Odinga has come out publicly to claim that he's not in government. Bwana Rop is Raila Odinga in government or not?
Raila Odinga is not in government. President Ruto is the president of Kenya. Raila has come in just
where?
To support what the president is doing. You know, let me tell you one thing, Fred.
You said he's not in government, but he has come in.
Yeah,
you come in, you get into a space, a house. What is that space?
It can even ideas. Doesn't mean like today. Let me tell you one thing. I've had my brother Kamanya here discussing the challenges that the government is doing. If today he comes here and say, I've been complaining about this issue, now the government has done it, I'm okay with it, doesn't mean that he's joined the government.
We've seen him having very high-level meetings with envoys from China, the UK, and the US in the presence of cabinet secretaries. In what position is that, if at all he's not serving this government in one way or another?
We've followed the procedures or the sequences of how President Ruto and Raila have come to work together. And we've heard even the sentiments of President Raila all along, saying that we are chanting that Ruto must go, then what? You know, at times, I listen to what people say, at times even in the social media and wherever, and you also listen to whatever other leaders say like Raila. You find that there is a sober thinking that after you've chanted that Ruto must go, then where do you want to lead your country? Who do you want to be president? How do you want your government to be governed? And that's why I say that Raila went out of normal thinking and thought that Kenya has to come before me, before my interests, before some of the things that I see that are not working right. And if the president is willing to work with me and listen to my advices on whatever is not right in the government, and we can make Kenya better, then it's better for all of us. Mm-hmm. You know, one thing the narrative that at times we try to display is more about self-interest, Bonafred. Because every day, if today President Raila, President Ruto.
And the second time you're referring to him as president. So, you know, the question is what position is
and the perception, the perception is creating.
He's the co-president.
Okay. If today Raila becomes president, that's whatever I wanted to say. There'll be another team always coming in to fight on things that is not doing it better. If today we give it like the former deputy president of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua becomes, let me use him also, becomes the president of Kenya, there are also people or Kenyans who will come to chant against that. What we are trying to say is that we will never have a perfect human being. We'll never have a perfect president who will display everything perfectly as we want or how we wish it done.
Okay.
But the fact is, if there are things that has been done right, if there are things that have been considered in the government, they should be appreciated. And whatever that is not done or whatever that we feel that is not done right, we shouldn't use it as an excuse to say a certain leader must go. For example, the
reality on the street is that those are the chants.
Listen, Fred, a minute.
Are you advising those chanting or the leaders who are together in government?
There are things at times we brush it off. Going to the street doesn't mean that it is exactly whatever it is in the ground. Today, you can get your own team and go to the street and chant something cause. It doesn't mean that Kenyans, we love magnifying something that has been done by a certain group of people and call it Kenyans. What about today if we are able to mobilize a team that says Ruto must go home? Will we say it is Kenyans? And lastly, at times I watch whatever it's in the media, positive and negative. And now it's magnified that Ruto must go home. Then I see Ruto again going to the people, and there's a serious crowd. Ruto will be in Mount Kenya from next week. Next week we will be here. I want us to see what we will be discussing. We'll be discussing where did Ruto get these crowds. People will say they were mobilized. How are you mobilized when you're saying Ruto must go? The same way we discussed here a few months ago, that the same people who flocked Kisumu Street, saying that Ruto must go during the finance bill, are the same people who received Ruto when Ruto had a working relationship with Raila Odinga.
All right.
What is the deal? Who is Kenyans?
All right.
So what I would love us to say is this. Who do you think do we have a problem as electorates who we call ourselves Kenyans who are chanting Ruto must go? Or is the leadership that has a problem? Because we go to the hashtag Ruto must go, and tomorrow when Ruto is in Kamukunji, we flock the street. And we flow him, we clap on whatever he asks us to do.
People are jobless.
So what's the problem?
You know, friend, people are jobless.
I'll come to you. Let's take a short break and we'll be back to continue
if they can get
with this
some
discussion,
entertainment.
including what Raila Odinga has said. Why is he appearing to distance himself or even try to create doubts about his position in this working arrangement that they have with the president? You're watching Morning Cafe. We'll be right back.
Did you know that the Kenya Pipeline Company's right-of-way spans over 1,342 kilometers? Did you know Kenya's pipeline assessment on both sides measure approximately 30 meters in width? To ensure your safety and the integrity of our pipeline system, we encourage you to strongly desist from unauthorized activities, including digging, lighting fires, among others, along KPC's right-of-way. Report any suspicious activities such as drilling, excavating, digging, or blasting near the pipeline. Call our toll-free line 800-720-198 and stay safe. Saidia kuhakikisha usalama wa bomba la mafuta.
Radio 47 inavuma ndani na nje ya nchi. Tumekubalika hadi kimataifa kwa ushirikiano na Deutsche Welle nchini Ujerumani. Tunakupa matangazo ya aina yake, kuanzia habari, makala na matangazo ya soka. Radio 47 na Deutsche Welle, idhaa ya Kiswahili nchini Ujerumani. Hili ni bonge la ushirikiano. Radio 47, tunavuma na bado hapa ndipo.
Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Panelists, and we're talking about the position, the precarious position that the current administration faces. On one hand, many people, especially the youth, are chanting Ruto must go. He had to bring in Raila Odinga to try and stabilize his position. But even that, there are a lot of doubts around it. What exactly is Raila Odinga's role when Raila Odinga twice this week has said he is not in government? Concerns have been raised by the party leader for Kabala Kile that as we continue with this kind of union that is not defined in our laws, we could affect even the way our democracy works, having both the minority and the opposition and the majority side on one hand. Do you think it's right for Raila Odinga to work with the president and keep insisting that he's not in government?
Well, when Raila Odinga comes and tells Kenyans that he's not in government, he's helping Ruto stabilize the government. You know, it is not his task to stabilize the government. That's a political con. We can only describe him as a political con. And we are saying as a political con because at one time, he's the man who led the public and the Kenyans into tear gas, and they get tear gas and saying Ruto must go. He's the one of the person who went against the political and economic policies that this government made. He's one of the men who wore a sufuria on his head, outcrying this government, you know, and he wanted really this government to go home. This Raila Odinga was a presidential candidate and a very close, tight racer to President William Ruto. And he's a man who knows that if this government would fall, he would be considered in making a caretaker government. But that's not the interest of a Kenyan. The Kenyan are looking for a government that would work for them. Whether Raila is in government or is not in government, they are looking for the government, the president. They are holding the president into capacity, or they're holding the president's responsibility, they're responsible for him to deliver the promises that he made. Remember, this is a government that was made, that was voted in voluntarily, out of their well-spoken manifesto, out of their well-spoken political messages. And it is out of that the Kenyans voluntarily voted for this. But out of it, there is no a two-way exchange of the same hope that the Kenyans were given by these people, because we wanted an unmetered service delivery to the Kenyans. We wanted an unmetered goodwill when it comes to service delivery and people consideration and inclusivity when it comes to making of this government. You know, Ruto is a cornered president. And he's a cornered president because he's one of the men who is experiencing a very expensive political time. He has to maintain Raila Odinga for him to actually stabilize his government. He's a man who has lost control in his own government. He's a man who has lost control in his own cabinet. He's a man who has lost control actually in managing the expectation of Kenyans. And managing this expectation of Kenyans, it is not by just coming out and from State House and running around in Nairobi and everywhere, as Hans said, that the public forces to meet the public, you know. But managing this expectation, it's by articulating his issues, articulating his policies clearly, and communicating them.
Okay.
Effectively, because we have a problem with his communication. But I understand the communication, it is not the problem with the communication, because even Isaac Mwaura admitted it. It is not the problem with communication, and Isaac Mwaura has no problem with communication. It is the service delivery. There's nothing to communicate. There's nothing to showcase. There's nothing to explain to Kenyans. He is heading to Mount Kenya, and you have seen the internally that he'd be launching transformers and power lines across the region. But we have one expectation that we would ask the president. When he comes to Mount Kenya, there is economic activities that these people, and that betters the livelihood of Kenyans. We have tea farmers, coffee farmers, you know, we have milk sellers in that region. We want him to come and give us de-risk farmers from his impunity government policies, from his diplomatic blunders that he's making. Just the other day, South Sudan made a ban of Kenyan import. Today, Kenya is not exporting. It's not exporting its teas to Sudan. Then, following that, KTDA makes a memo and says that we are not selling our teas. You know, we have a problem with selling our teas in Sudan. Our teas are stored in our warehouse, and we have to add auctioneers. Farmers have already done their job. They have picked their tea, they have sold their tea, and they are expecting the payments. But this fluctuation, these factors of government policies, government improper diplomatic tuffles, government stance in diplomacy, and the competition in politics will affect the farmers. So we ask the president to come to Mount Kenya, de-risk farmers from politics, from their impunity policies, and
I agree those issues need to be dealt with as well.
Yeah, and you need to come and guarantee farmers a guarantee.
I want us to go back to the issue of Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And this working relationship that they have with the president.
Yes.
Because in one way or another, it affects the working of a democracy, when the minority and the majority are seen on one side. Right now, we even have the IEBC interviews going on. The selection panel was constituted by political parties which were on different sides. Now the two big parties are on one side. It affects even our perspective about the government going forward. Your party leader has actually called on them to formalize that union.
Yeah, thanks to my party leader, Martha Karua, for exposing this doomsday alliance. Let me tell you, friend, where there's smoke, there's fire. And now we know Raila is fully in government. who has been appointed the special envoy to South Sudan. What does an envoy mean? That's someone who represents a country in a different country. Can you go and represent a country in a different country if you're not in government? This alliance is now in the open. Ruto is in opposition and Raila is in government, the same way as Raila is in opposition and Ruto is in government. This mongrel of an alliance, like once the president said, is now in the offing. So I don't think we need to keep talking about if Raila is in government or not in government. Just look at the deeds. Just look at what is going on. Don't listen to what they're saying. Yeah? Just look at what the actions are. The experts they gave out, their party officials, top leadership. Those decisions are made at the top, at the neck. You cannot just come out and say that you'll resign, then you'll go to a government as an expert. No. These are structured institutions where decisions are also structured. So this is intentional, and maneno ya kusema kama yuko, I think that's imepitwa na wakati. But when it comes to, as I commented about Ruto's visit to the mountain, let me just make one comment. My perspective on it is that it's not about Ruto. What Ruto is doing, he wants to go to the mountain and prop 10 presidential candidates from each of the 10 counties. He wants to totally disseminate, totally divide the mountain-rich vote and take it back to the county baskets. And how is he doing it? First, he humiliates you so that you become a martyr to your people. Look at what happened to Muturi. Muturi was called, his son was abducted, called incompetent, and eventually fired. So when you go back to Embu, what do the people of Embu see? They say, we gave you our son, and this is how you've treated him. Muturi, you've become a CS, you've been a speaker, you've been a member of parliament, AG. What next do you need? Just come back, we'll hold your hand. And when the 10 counties come to discuss on who is going to be our kingpin, so-called, we'll prop your name. I opine also someone like the young guy from Kiharu, the former chair of budget committee.
Who interestingly has a new party with Babu Owino.
He's another surrogate of the president, I suppose. When I'm looking at how the mountain is going, I suspect these are individuals that are going to be funded by the president so that the mountain does not have a single candidate who will stand under the banner of the mountain. And that's what you see going on. Others have been propped. People like Kindiki, he's just been picked into kingship. Liki Nyanjui picked into kingship. So when Tharaka goes to discuss about who's going to be our kingpin, do you think Kindiki will step down and say that, no, yes, I was a deputy president, but now I can become a deputy president again or a minister? So in the end, what will happen, the discussion, the Mount Kenya discussion, will end up being an ego, a battle for the egos, because everyone will want to become a presidential candidate. So,
and I can see that you really want to talk about this Mount Kenya trip. Let's talk about it. One of those things that President William Ruto, when he was deputy president and campaigning for the presidency, he really demonized the handshake back then, the alliance that his boss, Uhuru Kenyatta, had with Raila Odinga. He said that that was the biggest problem and that was the reason why they could not achieve their Big Four agenda, because Raila came into government, and he promised the people of Mount Kenya that that will never happen. Now, as he goes to Mount Kenya region, this trip comes only weeks after he got into an alliance, signed an MOU, called it broad-based government, and gave even cabinet positions to Raila Odinga, something even Uhuru Kenyatta did not do. Do you think he'll be at pains to explain himself? Because this was a major political promise to the people of Mount Kenya, that he would never get into such an alliance.
You know, Fred, the Lord of Poverty, the failed AU candidate, the disruptor of good governance in this nation, none other than the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, is well anchored in this government. And to think otherwise, we just be kidding ourselves. We have seen that he has even secured ability to donate professionals into cabinet. We saw him being fronted and campaigned for by this regime, by the president, for the AU position,
We could have fronted any other candidate. But why did it have to be him? Because of the dalliance that they started experiencing together. And now that he has come back home, he's just been deployed to Sudan. And yet we are saying he's not in government. He's been deployed by the government of the day. We have to be...
South Sudan.
Yes, to South Sudan, is correct. We have to be very pragmatic and very honest as Kenyans, because we are not, this is not just a political rhetoric. We are talking about livelihood and the democratic space of our nation, and also the bilateral relations we hold within the continent and with all the other nations across the world. We are not in good standing because we have failed to manage our one, homegrown politics, and two, our international image. Because the two people who represent Kenya is the president and now the Lord of Poverty, the Right Honorable Odinga. During the campaign, as you say, the president was very clear that he will not create room for a handshake. There will be no cooperation, there will be no MOU. Yes, none of that happened. He just rebranded it to a broad-based coalition, the NADCO and all those shenanigans. Unfortunately, this has declined the trust deficit of the people to the regime. Number two, now the president has a very hard time explaining himself, how he has gone back against each and every word he promised to Kenyans, that he was going to form a government of the people, by the people, for the people. That is nowhere to be seen. He's now managing political parties, he's managing political dalliance, and he's managing now political demagogues like the Right Honorable Odinga, at the detriment of service provision. I keep going back to that because that is the ultimate monumental responsibility of the government of the day, any government, to serve the people of the country. Now, the Right Honorable Odinga has come into government. And the president said when he was a deputy president, as you rightly put it, that the reason they could not function as a government and the Big Four agenda could not be realized is because there was a backdoor entrance into government by the ODM fraternity. He has done the same. So how is he expecting a different outcome? That's why we are in all this disarray. And every day you hear the benefactors or beneficiaries of this regime and these changes trying to protect that ideology that the government is not able to function, hence they have been forced. Actually, as my colleague says, the president is cornered. They have been forced now to enter into political alignment with persons whom they know they even do not have any interest in the government delivering. And that's why every now and then you hear the president, the Odinga saying, the president came to me, I'm only supporting him. But the president has pronounced himself and said, I had to look for people to come and help me run the government. So when you say the president is not, Odinga is not in government, what are we saying? This is a mongrel of an arrangement we are having. And unfortunately, it does not improve, again, I say. One, the public service delivery status. Two, it does not improve the trust that we can trust this coalition of Raila Odinga and President Ruto to serve us better. So even though they may continue to work together as they are, I don't see it going beyond 2027. Because again, every time Raila makes advances into government, some people who created this government are edged out. The first one was the former deputy president. The second lot was the CSAs, and now more to come. We can only wait and see. So that also now has a ripple effect, because if you talk of regional issues, where these people come from, like JB Muturi, those people will be asking, is this as a result of, the new coalition? And how will that response be? Now you start to experience what you call the social unrest and a lot of political hostility, wherever the president will be going, whether it is to the Mount Kenya region or any other places. Remember, a few weeks ago, the president was in the North Rift, the Elgeyo Marakwet area, and they spoke highly about the security issues. But soon as they left, unrest has come back. So this cosmetic management of our national issues, matters of national interest, will not last long and cannot be managed by political dalliance. There has to be a strategic change, a paradigm shift from the government of the day, if they truly mean well in serving the country, without having to prepare for the 2027 election. Because that is what is happening. When you hear of them propping various presidential candidates, various political parties coming up, like you see Babu Owino and Editorial. People are gearing up for 2027. That is okay because that's a reality we must contend with. But as an active government who is in office, it is your responsibility first to cement and enhance the trust and harmony so that at least you have a better chance of even vying. Okay. That's why you see the Ruto must go hashtag is very active.
Back to the issue about the Mount Kenya trip. Earlier this week, there are headlines about allies of the president from that region, some being a bit hesitant to have this trip happen this time because of the issues surrounding even the broad-based government, because it was only formed about a month ago, and some of the issues of unfulfilled promises and delivered projects. Do you agree that probably it would be awkward for President William Ruto to go to Mount Kenya days after firing CS Muturi, weeks after the purge in Parliament of very many members of Parliament from that side from serious committees in the House?
I do not think so. President Ruto is the president of the whole country. Therefore, him visiting Mount Kenya for development tour is his constitutional right. And therefore, I think him visiting Mount Kenya is just okay. There's not any problem. If anything, it should be a very good reception from Mount Kenya because President Ruto is taking a lot of money. He's taking a lot of developments to Mount Kenya. There shouldn't be more politics for now. You know, one day I watched the current president, when he was a deputy president, being interviewed. And I remember one of the journalists asked him, suppose the system does everything to make sure you're not the president. He said, even if I retire today as a deputy president, it will be a big achievement. And I'm very sure on a close interview, he'll tell you, even if I become a president for one term, it is the best achievement I would ever have gotten in my life. I never expected to be here. So it's not about 2027 election. It's not about going to maybe scheme politics and so on. It's all about delivering about whatever he has at his hand, what he has at hand today. You asked me, how doesn't he feel that it could be more style that he just fired Muturi? It's not about Muturi. It's about whatever you deliver to the country. You cannot say on this other hand that it is hostile, and then this other hand you want to imagine he's going to manage politics. It's all about his delivery today as a president. And you know, it is, if you observe it from different angle, that despite the fact he had issues with the former deputy president, Ruto still maintains his word to the Mount Kenyans that you voted for this government and therefore you deserve development. Okay. And I'm coming in with the tour to do developments. And also, if you study the kind of projects that are going today to Mount Kenya, it's over 20 billion. It's a lot of serious projects that are being launched there. It's not just something easy. You know, I was listening to my friend Kagunaya speaking about issues of transformers and so on. You know, last mile, lighting up this country is a serious thing. You know, around just 40% of Kenyans have access to electricity. We need to do at least much better than that. And President going himself to pursue that is a serious indication that he's passionate to make sure that we have electricity all over the country. And it's what he's expected to do. And you know, as I've listened to some of the sentiments that we make that are not pro-good things that the government have done, and I try to feel the manifesto that the president gave before he ran for president. I see that there's a lot of achievement. Okay. Today we speak about KQ. KQ has made profits. Nobody is speaking about it. The president has employed over 76,000 teachers. Nobody is speaking about it. Today we are producing over 100. We are producing actually at 105% of sugar. We are beginning to export sugar. Nobody is speaking about it. Fertilizer has come down.
Probably
our farming of maize has gone high. That's why we have less fertilizers today. People have gone more to plant.
We're about 7 minutes to go to the end of the show, so I'll give you about a minute and a half each for your final comments. Let's start with you, Bwana Gakuna.
Oh yes, on the same political revisitation of the president in Mount Kenya, he's welcome. He's the president. Mount Kenya has it does not have its own president, and we are part of Kenya. He's the Kenyan president. He's welcome. And you know, all this visitation, you can see how the bravados in Nairobi, what's happened. He's trying to recreate an image. He's trying to just build another political perception that, you know, people have perceived him, and it's not people have perceived him. He has become the unpopular president since time immemorial, and he's trying to recreate his image. He's trying to create another perception so that those people who has not really lost hope with him, they can still retain the hope. Those people with low and losing hope, he can try to again negotiate their hope with him, the trust with him and the faith with him, so that he can build whatever happened in Nairobi and the bravados, the crowds that you saw in Nairobi. They're trying to create an image that, see, you people, you're talking of me must go, and you're saying that I'm become unpopular. You can see the people that are around me. Well, you can see we are not looking at the crowds that came with you, but the economic achievement, the economic prosperity of the area that you came. Shops closed, businesses closed when you are visiting there. As a president, when you see a woman or a mama boga closing his business, when you are president, you are there, you're coming to visit his area. He is not embracing that you're coming as a president, but criminals has actually joined your troop. Criminals have actually joined your convoy, and what they have come to do is to antagonize, to terrorize the people that are doing business. So the perception you're creating here, it's not even, you're not creating this perception as the hopeful leader, as a unifying leader, but exactly as a one person who is instilling fear to the people, to the business people, to women and children. So it is about time that this movement, you'll see, like, he's welcoming Mount Kenya, but people will of course see, even those acrobatic people gather and watch them, but as it is, people will come, they will watch, but we expect you to have some tangible deliverables. So for me, I would ask him, please guarantee farmers a minimum return, 70 shillings minimum.
Thank you, Bwana Kabala. You go next.
Yes, point of information. Kenya's electricity penetration as per 2022 is 76%. So we are not at 40. But having said that, the visit to the mountain is a must. Ruto must go. And it's a political move because Ruto must divide the mountain. Your 500,000 votes is not little to be left for one person. And as I told you, his main agenda and intention there is to make sure that he prepares the ground for his surrogate candidates that he'll sponsor for presidential candidacy in come 2027. And this is how he'll do it. He'll make sure when he goes to Embu, his lieutenants, watachapa Muturi, but when he comes to speak, he'll speak about development. I've come with this much, I'll come and do this. But when he leaves, people will not be thinking about, they don't trust him anymore. They won't be thinking or talking about the promises he's brought. They'll be talking about, did you hear what this person said about Muturi? Then that will coalesce the people of Embu towards Muturi. Same thing in Muranga. Same thing in Nyeri, where we had the first casualty. Same thing in Kiambu. And I promise you, and I assure you, and we will be back here, the time when Ruto finishes his tour from the mountain, you'll see how strong the candidates I've spoken about will be.
Okay.
And with my closing remarks, I'll end with a saying from the late evangelist Monroe Miles. He said, leadership begins where tolerance ends. Leadership begins where tolerance ends. If we stop tolerating poor governance, to stop tolerating dictatorial tendencies, that's when we'll be able to lead ourselves and lead our country in the right direction.
Thank you, Kabala. Kamanya, go next.
And welcome to PLP.
Well, Fred, I opine that we are in a very politically precarious situation. We have a government that seeks to pacify Kenyans because they are very aware of the agitation against it. And when the president now is coming out to pronounce himself on various issues, quote unquote development tours, he's having to first manage the reception. That is very sad for our country. 2, we must walk away from this Stone Age archaic thinking that the president brings development. We have a constitution, a model constitution that offers us department, ministries, and agencies. The president simply needs to stop gagging devolution and let devolution take its course. That way we'll have roads, hospitals, markets, everything that we require, police stations, schools, devolution, the Constitution provides for that. So the president, as he makes his development tours in quotes, let him stop gagging devolution, because Kenyans need a very operational and functional regime. Finally, dictatorship arises in times of economic hardship. And this is exactly where we are. We are short of a dictatorship.
Finally, Hans.
Finally, I want to give a hope today to a Kenyan watching this morning that there are many things that a president has done. There are many things that his government is doing. And with patience, we're going to feel its impact. And I just say today, even as the government has reduced the price of fertilizer from 7,000 to around 2,500, you'll feel the impact after maybe doing the first harvest, going to 7. There's a growth in that, and that's how we build a country. You don't build a country by just rhetorics. Today, we have seen the improvement of the price of coffee. And those are some of the things that we expect from a government that is carrying these people. We've seen the prices of hunger dropping, and we've seen also the president managing not to increase the price of maize from the farmers so much to go beyond 3,500 in the cereal. The reason is so that because when you sell the government buys the maize at a higher price, it means the hunger is going too high. So you have to balance this. So you make sure the production cost is cheaper so that the farmers are able to get their profits even at that small price. And also today is that even as president goes to Mount Kenya, I want to encourage the people of Mount Kenya to receive the president, receive the development that the president is bringing in. Do not worry much about the politics of 2027. We have God in our life. We have 2027 ahead. Things will fall into place. And let us be people who are propositive. Let us not be human beings who just want to throw stones at every other day. Just the same way we would love to be appreciated on our personal level. Let us learn to appreciate whatever people have done or whatever the government has done. And whatever what is not right, let us see on how it can improve as a Kenya, because this is our country and we have nowhere else to go.
Thank you so much, political analysts Hans Rop, Josephat Kamanya, and Gakuna Njima Castro, alongside Kabala Kile, National Deputy Chairperson, People's Liberation Party, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Just a look at the big discussions today and this entire week. Cabinet reshuffle and the anticipated trip by the President to Mount Kenya region. Thank you for your time at TV47. After the break, a conversation about global career pathways. My colleague Anu Dida will be handling that. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Have a lovely weekend.
Mwaka huu shindano la balozi wa Radio 47 limekuja kivingine. Tunateka anga za kila kaunti mwezi mzima kuwatafuta na kuwatuza mabalozi 4 wa bonge la radio. Ni balozi wa Radio 47 Boda Edition. Bere yupi wa Nduthi ni mkali wao katika kusikiliza na kushabikia bonge la redio Radio 47. Shilingi 10,000 na zawadi nyingine nyingi zinamhusu. Follow Radio 47 Verified Facebook page na usikilize vipindi vyetu, ujue jinsi ya kushiriki na kuwashangilia mabalozi wetu. Kila Ijumaa ndani ya Breakfast 47 ni balozi wa boda.
world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer.
Mm-hmm.
We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Good morning, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe, and this morning we're discussing global career pathways. All right, and to help me with this particular conversation, we have Irina Matthews, that is the Director of International Students Affairs Africa, and Anna Platonova from the same organization. Welcome, ladies, to TV47.
Thank you very much.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we talk about Student Affairs Africa, what is it about?
Yes, so we started International Student Affairs Africa, a student recruitment fair, in 2012. So we've been running now for about 13 years, offering Kenyan students an opportunity to discover study opportunities abroad, Europe, worldwide, and being able to go and develop their career.
Anna, is it only Kenya particularly, or you have other countries that you are offering these scholarships to?
This time is for Kenya, but you know, of course, there are plans to expand, and since this project is supported by European Union, definitely Kenya was at a very big interest, and a lot of students are willing to come. So let's focus on Kenya this time. We will see what happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why Kenya exactly? Is it that a lot of Kenyan students are trying to run away from the Kenyan matrix? Or why do you think that Kenya is the perfect choice for this particular program?
Kenya is one of the most developed countries in Africa. And obviously, Kenya also required specialists. And sometimes, for instance, Kenyan students can receive very good experience by going to study abroad and come back and start working, obviously helping Kenyan economy.
Yeah.
Yes, so why Kenya? I think Kenya is the first country in Study in Europe project, which Anastasia mentioned about, funded by the European Union. And they chose Nairobi as the first city they would like to come to this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Anna, Nairobi alone, you know, we have 47 counties in this country. Are you only focusing on the Nairobians, or we are looking at the other 46 counties that are remaining?
It's actually a very good question you asked. Since the event takes place at Sari Center in Westlands, and it's only one day, we will be happy if other counties can come. And that is why we promote among schools, among universities, young specialists, different organizations. I will mention channels where you can check and register. So even if you're in Nakuru or Eldoret, you can register for free and simply come. So we don't restrict anybody. It's going to be perfect and actually a unique opportunity to meet over 40 universities from all the countries. And Irina will mention how many countries are present. So if you have opportunity to come from any county, even from Mombasa, you are welcome.
Of course, I'll give you a chance to talk to us more about the Students' Fair that you have. But maybe you can tell us when this program began really for you guys. Is it 2025 or is something that has been there for years, Irina?
Yes, so we were amongst the first study abroad education fairs in Nairobi. So we started 2012. We started because there was a demand for universities, foreign universities, to recruit Kenyan students, as well as for Kenyan students to discover and get knowledge about studying abroad, understanding how the admission process works. From that time, we had a couple of government bodies coming from South Korea, from Malaysia, from most recently it was India, study in India. We had study in Indonesia. So this time, after 5 years, because of the pandemic, etc., we are very happy that we will have in my view, and obviously in our view, a very unique, amazing event whereby we will have, as Anastasia said, 40 plus universities from 14 countries, including countries which never been to Kenya before, such as Italy, such as Spain, Slovakia, etc. Yeah.
And you know, sometimes studying abroad, especially for, you talked about Kenya being with the most audience. You know, it's marketed as the epitome of success, you know, when you go abroad.
Yes.
But realistically, you know, do students who go abroad have better opportunities as compared to students who study locally?
Definitely, we always mention that. Going abroad, you get exposure. That's number one. You get exposure, you get to learn new cultures, it helps you to blend in, and then it opens opportunities. Yes, you may study locally and still be very successful, but once you go outside, you have opened a way for yourself and maybe even for your family. Also, studying is a legal way to stay in the country, and a lot of people have problems with getting visa. So once you come to the visa question, having a student visa is a perfect way to get in the country, stay there legally, get jobs later, and explore. So we believe this is an amazing opportunity. It's worth investing and checking which countries I can go to.
Yeah. Irina, are you helping the students get these visas when they want to go to Europe, or how exactly do you now coming to bridge this gap challenges?
I would say that we are more of an event management company rather than an agent. But obviously we have cooperation with some agents in Nairobi, helping them to obviously to go through this process smoothly. And at the same time, when they come to the exhibition, they can receive information firsthand from those universities, as well as there will be some government bodies present from those countries. And obviously they will have information straight away from those representatives, you know, what they need to do, how they need to go about it, etc. So I think it's really good. So by this way, I'm not saying that they don't need the help of agent, but sometimes it's also good to do research yourself and know where you stand and what you need to do in order to achieve, obviously, you know, to be able to apply successfully to university and to be admitted.
All right.
Accepted, yeah.
Okay, so what qualifications are you looking for one to be qualified for this particular program with you guys?
Range of programs. Anastasia can tell you more about it. Yeah.
I think you meant local qualifications in terms of school. Yeah, Kenyan certificate KCC is very good. A lot of schools have a British system. So every university will guide you on what admission expectations they have, what requirements, what degree, if you're going for masters, and what you need to give in case it's a scholarship. That's why being present at the expo will help you to go to the stands with those countries you're interested in, choose, talk to them, get the information, and get direct contacts of their admission offices. And they will give you all the requirements.
So it boils down to the institution where somebody studied from here in Kenya.
Yeah, sure. It's pretty okay. Many countries accept KCC very well.
KCC.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, my question now is this program particularly reserved for the wealthy? You know, a lot of people, a lot of students aspire to go study abroad, but this is a very, very expensive program. So does this scholarship come in to cover for everything, the financial constraints? Or is it only covering for a particular thing?
Again, as Anastasia mentioned, it depends obviously on the university and the country. So scholarships differ. Sometimes you will have 100%, sometimes you have a scholarship covering your expenses partially, covering your tuition fee, covering your maintenance fees, etc. On the other hand, why studying in Europe could be very, very attractive destination for a student is because European countries are very affordable. We are used to popular destinations in English-speaking countries, which may be sometimes very costly for some students, some families. And what is really good about studying Europe countries, for instance, if we take Belgium, they're going to be there for the first time as well at the fair. So if we take Belgium, we take France, we take Romania, we take Slovakia, Poland, Hungary, they're all very, very affordable countries, even if you don't have a scholarship. So I would recommend looking into into those countries. And also there will be 33 plus universities from countries offering Erasmus program.
So let's talk about the students who want to study there and work there, you know. So what happens to them, those that do not want to come back? Do these countries in Europe offer that chance for them to study there and also work at the same time?
I think it always goes down to what's your plan and again, which country. Every country has a little bit different immigration law. You have to research when you are there. You have to make sure your visa doesn't expire. You have to make sure your school fees are paid and you don't get into any trouble when you're studying. So if everything is well, you might even get job offers when you're a student. And once you're working, you save some money, you stay in the country, and you are very good. That's why when people come to me as a consultant and ask, how do I stay in that country? I always tell them, if you have a budget, please try and go as a student. If your age limit is allowing you, go as a student. Because moving when you're already over 45, you have never studied in those countries, you want to move all of a sudden, it's way harder, right? Than when you're young. So that's why we appeal to young people, don't miss such events, come. You can go to Instagram university fairs, just like that, university fairs, nothing else.
In plural.
Yes, university fairs, Instagram, and you will see the link for registration. So tap the link, register, fill in the fields, and you get a QR code. You can also scan on your phone and register. And the entrance is free. So that's why we're here today, to make sure people hear about it and it doesn't go wasted, per se.
Is there an age restriction for the affair?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just wanted to say that. So basically, this event targets both levels of education. So it's a first degree and also second degree, such as PhD and MBA. Specifically for a postgraduate education, the European universities will be bringing very attractive offers and scholarships. So obviously it's open to school graduates, you know, like year 13, for instance, if we talk about the British system, as well as this fair is very well tailored for postgraduate students and young professionals. So we will be waiting for them as well.
Anna, which industries now benefit the most from international studies, if it's anything you would recommend? You know, somebody is going there in Europe to study, what would you recommend that is better for the market?
Right now, definitely everything with IT is very popular. Cybersecurity, AI, artificial intelligence, you can get very well-paid jobs. Technical specialties also are on demand. Engineers are becoming less and less, so a qualified engineer is always on demand as well. Finances, medicine is a classic degree which all African countries look for. It's medicine, doctor. So it's always available as well. But you have to be open-minded and you just have to think, what am I going to do with it? A lot of people go to some narrow courses such as statistics. And then when they finish it, they said, there's no job for me. What will I do? Because it's very narrow and they don't have really much different skills. So try to get something which you know you're going to use in future. And do your research, as Irina mentioned. We are looking for the students who do research before coming to the expo. So they already know, let me go to a Romania stand because I've seen such and such course, very interesting for me. Or let me go to South Africa because it's not far from my home. I want to go and try study there. So when you come prepared, you will not be just, lost between all the stands, don't know what to do.
Yes, as Anastasia said, because it's going to be a very big event for Nairobi, very unique event, I would say that go to the website, africastudentfair.com, and we have the list of universities already there with their profiles, and you can see who would you like to, maybe which stands you would like to go to. But at the same time, we are there to guide you. And we will have a program. We will also have presentations.
Every university will have a chance to talk about them.
Every
briefly.
European university?
Yeah, everybody who's coming, especially the major ones, at least from each country, will have one or two.
And we will have study in Europe presentation as a organization presentation. So they will learn a lot about obviously that project. And yeah, so I would probably recommend them to, if they have time, to also browse our website, browse the profiles of different universities. On top of it, so we will have a very big group of study in Europe universities. On top of it, we will also have universities worldwide, such as we will have university from America, from South Africa, from Russia. So yeah. And for instance, Russia also offers very attractive scholarships at the moment. You know, for instance, Anastasia can tell you more about it. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Russian universities are super affordable. The foundation program starts with 1,500 USD. That's around 200,000 Kenyan shillings per year, not a semester. A year.
Oh, wow.
So life cost, again, maybe $200, $300 per month. Accommodation, hostels are $50 a month. And hostels are pretty good, pretty safe. And as if you go on Instagram, a lot of American citizens, by the way, nowadays live in Moscow. And they mentioned that it's the safest place they've ever been, that they cannot walk at night in USA in some ghetto, the way they're walking at night in Moscow. And one guy said he lost the bank cards and the wallet in some park at around 12, and he picked them up. Somebody just put it, and he picked his bank cards, and
it's safer.
So yeah, you should consider Russia as well, budget-wise, safety-wise, yeah, and very, very high level of education, especially in engineering, medicine, IT, aerospace, military, all that.
Irina, you know, there's this narrative that Kenyans, or let me say Africans, go by. They say that African students are targeted more by these African universities as a source of revenue for these universities. How true is that?
Anna, you can take that.
Long pause, yeah.
Well, it's hard to say source of revenue.
Yeah.
Because, I think they go all over. They look everywhere. You can be from China, you can be from Brazil, you can be from Africa. Is definitely an interest for.
Yes, so
Europe,
for
right?
every European, foreign university, it's really important to have a mix of various international students. Why? It's very good for your ranking as well as a university. So you can't have just Chinese students in your university. Yeah, you need to have mix. Yeah, and then it also shows your ranking, shows your openness to outside world, and obviously, yes, it's always been the case that obviously they will receive some kind of revenue from the students, but at the same time, students also will receive benefits from their education, and hopefully it will help them in their future career.
Before we come to the close of this conversation, Anna, maybe you can talk to us about some of the mistakes that these students make when choosing international universities.
For sure, we spoke about challenges and mistakes. Among challenges, we might say it's financing and being consistent with financing. So you make sure that if you're going, you know who is going to pay your fees, and you are safe in the country. And secondly, maybe in mistakes, it's hard to say. Wrong choices when it comes to something very popular. As Irina mentioned, everybody wants to go to United States, UK and English-speaking countries only, and then they think Europe is super expensive, which again is wrong. And then they end up of paying a lot of school fees in those countries, and maybe even being homeless because it's too expensive. And then instead of going to maybe Poland or Croatia or Slovakia, where you can pay 2,000 euros per year, and you'll be in a very nice, safe environment. Yeah, but mistakes happen with everybody. So make sure you ask professionals for help.
Plan. You need to plan.
Apart from university ranking, Irina, what should students prepare for before choosing these universities or going to Europe?
I think they probably need to research the country, yeah, to research, to learn more about the country, to learn more about the culture, to see whether they are committed to be there for a particular amount of time. Anastasia, what do you think?
Culture, but culture applies to maybe not
The culture
Europe so
shock,
much.
you know?
I
Yeah,
think
cultural
China
shock,
can give
yeah.
you culture shock, yeah?
China?
Asian countries.
I think any
we don't have
country.
them at the expo.
Any country. Myself, I've been living in 3 different countries, and I was coming from a West European country to another West European country, and I still had cultural shock. Because every country has its own identity, its culture, it's different, despite that Europe, a lot of countries in Western Europe and in Europe similar to each other. Yeah, we have similar culture. At the same time, they're very, very different.
Like former Soviet Union, we have the same food, our language sounds a little bit the same. So I think the student who studied in one place is easier for him to travel because he has already understood.
Yeah.
Those countries are kind of the same, the people are kind of the same, what they like, the holidays they celebrate. Yeah, so once you are in, it is easy for you to overcome the shock.
Yeah. I want us to now talk about return on investment, because we're trying to convince these Kenyans students to go and study abroad. Now, how do they measure that a degree is financially worth it? Irina.
I think they can measure it after completion of the education. Obviously, measurement, in my view, is your future career. So how good you are, but obviously education is in Europe, I would say, is very, very good, very high standard, affordable. And for instance, if we talk about medicine, as Anastasia mentioned a couple of minutes ago, medicine is very affordable, a medical degree is very affordable in Russia. When you go to Aga Khan Hospital, for instance, in Nairobi, and when you ask a doctor where he studied, he will most likely say Russia. So from this point of view, yeah, I would say that for medical students, they will definitely, after a European degree, after a degree in Russia, they will definitely have a space, a job in Kenya, as well as engineering. Engineering in those countries is very high standard. And as with any job, it also depends on a person. It's very individual, what you do after your graduation, how you move on your career ladder, what do you do, what your plan is, where do you stay? Do you stay in Kenya or you are moving abroad? So it all depends also, it's very, very individual. As you know, you can go to a very normal school, but depending on your results, you can have very good results, you can get into a very good university, and then it will lay path for your future, I would say, yeah? So it's not only a degree, but it's also like an individual factor, in my view.
The skills one
Yeah.
acquires.
Yeah.
So we are championing for STEM courses for the students who are going abroad to Europe. That includes science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You talked about statistics, isn't it?
No, I just remember because
we still need statistics.
I do consultancy. I do education consultancy and admissions. So when somebody comes and to say, "What can you offer me as my master's?" You will ask them, "What did you do for your bachelor?" So when they mention to you what the first degree was, sometimes it's very tricky to tell them what to proceed with, because the first degree is so narrow, and even they have a hardship to choose. What can I do with it? So they want to change it, and they regret going for something, but it was too late, or maybe at that time it was just available, or maybe somebody told them that's what you're going to do, maybe parents. So they think they want to do oil and gas, but they've already done something else. So sometimes we have to help them to understand what masters they can do after they already have the first degree. Yeah.
Yes, it's never too late to go to the university again and study something else.
Yeah, something new.
Yeah, something new, something exciting.
Yeah. Does this also include the new languages? Is it a plus for the students who are going abroad to study? Let's see, people going to Russia, you know, I don't know the language, is it Dutch? that they speak. So is it Russian?
It's Russian,
yes.
Dutch
Is it
in the
advisable
Netherlands.
for-
Yeah.
Is it advisable for them to now study these languages that those countries are speaking?
Yes, it's very, very useful. So myself, I lived in the Netherlands for about 10 years. So I passed the highest level of the Dutch language, Dutch degree, which was necessary to study in university, Dutch university.
But she's not
Dutch
Dutch.
is in Netherlands.
She's not
Yes.
Dutch, by the way.
Yes. And obviously, yeah, because that time you can only study in the Netherlands if you learn Dutch. Yeah. Now, what we have for about last 10 years, a lot of countries started to offer programs in English, which is also very, very beneficial. So obviously it's always helpful to go into country, to go into France, improve your French, it's great. It also will improve your career prospects. But at the same time, a lot of countries started to offer a degree in English. Yeah.
Anna, you know, education, online education has grown. So does studying online, but in a university abroad, count?
It always counts, of course, and especially IT people can do it pretty well. But if it's a fast degree, truly speaking, personally, we advise go there and do it physically. COVID is over. You can do online a masters or some upgrades or certificates. Always can do it, even when you're on your first degree. You can do something online. Yeah, but it's still possible. Though it's a bit more limited, definitely. It limits you in many ways.
All right. Irina, maybe you can tell us what we can expect tomorrow at the fair as your final remarks, and then Anna can also tell us the same.
First of all, it's not tomorrow. It's 5th of April.
Okay, 5th of
so
April.
it's a 5th of April, Saturday. The exhibition will take place at Sarit Expo Center, Cherengani Exhibition Conference Hall. And we start at 10 o'clock. Please be there early because they will be opening by the ambassador from a Study in Europe project from the European Union. And the fair will be running until 5 o'clock. This day will be packed with different activities, including presentations, including various seminars. So please be there. The entrance is free.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Anastasia will tell you again our website where you can register beforehand. Obviously, you can register when you come to Sarit, but we advise you to register before so you don't have to worry about it. And Anastasia will tell you again our URL as well as, yeah.
It's africanstudentfair.com and Instagram University Fairs without anything else. So even if you forgot the website, just click, you will see the blue logo, that's us, and the links are all there in the bio. So it's pretty easy for anybody who is on social media. Also, we've involved nice influencers to promote us. You might see the promotions on some big TikTok pages. So definitely you will not miss the event. And it's pretty easy. Just come to Sarit.
Yeah, we look forward to meeting you.
All right, that is next Saturday, not
next
tomorrow.
Saturday.
Absolutely.
Saturday, yeah.
Thank you so much, Irina and Anna, for making time for this particular conversation. And we're looking forward to seeing more Kenyans go to Europe to further their studies. Right about now, let's cross over to the IEBC Commissioner's interviews that is currently ongoing in South Sea, Nairobi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.